Welcome back, you wonderful fucking people. This is James Johnson. I'm here with some wonderful people to talk about Game of Thrones. If you haven't seen the first 5 seasons of the Game of Thrones television show, or read the first 5 books of the Song of Ice and Fire series, we all have, and we're going to be talking about what might happen and what might happen this next season, particularly. These are wonderful people. Teebaby could not join us today, but we have the magnificent Charlie in Westeros. We have my beautiful mother, LaDonna. We have the amazing Clare Gray and the mysterious Maester Payne. And someone of the videos started in my background. Okay, and we have the brilliant Nico.
Hi.
And, of course, the one, the only, Tony Teflon.
Yeah.
All right, so in this particular episode, we're going to talk about Season 6, and we've got a new trailer out. Last video, we talked about mainly the North. We're going to try to do all the other areas in this video, and Charlie is going to be our wonderful moderator. And since I've got this going, I'm going to go ahead and start with the trailer, and we'll knock out some of those things since it's new since the last video we did. I'm going to start off with a little thing I wrote. I'm mainly going to focus on the dialogue that's in that trailer. First, I'm just going to read the whole thing, and then I'll explain what I think, to me, is the importance. Are you afraid? You should be. You're in the great game now, and the game is terrifying. We are sinful creatures. We deserve death. We all do. One way or another, the gift will be given. One way or another, a face will be added to the whole. All right, so the first one's Tyrion. Tyrion says, are you afraid? You should be. You're in the great game now, and the game is terrifying. This is about the fact that we, the audience, have bought in. We've been sold that A, these characters are deep and their motivations complex, which allows us to justify our empathy with them. And we've been sold that B, anyone can die. We don't want these people to die because we care about them. And with that, through our connection to the story, our empathy with these characters, we think of them as real. The same part of our brain lights up as would if it were someone we know being tortured or raped or killed, and that is the suffering of life, and life is the great game. Then the High Sparrow says, we are sinful creatures. We deserve death. We all do. And this suffering is, in great part, our own doing. The suffering I mentioned earlier, that's part of the great game, the life. It's part of our own doing. Arguably, we expect humans to behave this way. Not all of them, but it only takes one to ruin the life of another. And we know we are all sinful creatures. Then Jaqen says, one way or another, the gift will be given. One way or another, a face will be added to the whole. The gift is death. But in this story, it can also be immortality and peace if you choose that gift. If you choose immortality as part of a collective whole, a collective subservient to one, the control, the peacemaker, the keystone, the god, the Night's King. And as these words come to a close in the trailer, we see a short glimpse of the Night's King in front of an inferno and horses and men dying in battle. The slings and arrows of outrageous fortune or immortality at peace. You give up free will either way. You're going to die. Wouldn't you rather have a peace as you survive? Easter is here, and I keep rolling around a hymnal I heard many times in Catholic Church. Christ has died, Christ is risen, Christ will come again. That's the Night's King. Night's King, that's what this whole trailer is about. All right, that's where I wanted to start it off. Why don't you take it away, Charlie?
So I got a little bit disconnected there for the first half of your presentation, James, so I won't be able to respond to everything. But I think if we want to discuss the trailer that we just saw today, there's a few things we can focus on. Mainly I want to talk about the events in the North because that's where we kind of left off last time. So for this time around, there's a few things I want to ask you guys about. For one thing, we have the whole scene with the Night's King in front of the Inferno you mentioned. There's also another poignant little split-second scene with the Night's King seemingly grabbing Bran's arm. There was, what else was there? There was Sansa and Theon, it looked like running through woods. There was a scene of Ramsay in front with an army behind him. A lot of really short clips in this whole area, and I'm sure there's others that I didn't mention. The two that kind of stuck out to me the most, though, were the Night's King one and the Giant. Well, especially the Night's King. I'll start with that. So I know a lot of people were discussing whether or not the Night King is actually grabbing Bran's arm and what that means for those of us who kind of saw Bran as witnessing a scene via a vision rather than actually physically being in said location. Obviously, it could very well mean, and here we have it with James presenting it to us. It kind of reminds me of a few things, and I'm going to actually quote another TV show here because it seems like they did something similar that might be happening in Game of Thrones. In the Shannara Chronicles, there is an instance where this demonic creature called the Dagdamor is face-to-face with another character who can kind of have visions of different locations and events, and this character who can see visions of other locations confronts the Dagdamor through this vision, and his soul gets sucked out of his body, quite literally, in this setting. I'm not saying that's necessarily happening with Bran and the Night's King, but it could very well be that the Night's King is aware he's being watched by Bran, and perhaps that instance of the Night's King grabbing Bran's arm is more or less a representation of the Night King signaling to Bran that he's aware, and maybe it's kind of meant to snap Bran out of that trance-like state where he's witnessing different events throughout the scene. Or, of course, it could very well mean Bran exited the cave and went to the Night's King himself, but I'm slightly skeptical of that, obviously. As for the separate one with the giant, actually, no, I'll talk about the other scene with the Night's King. The Night's King in front of the fire, that kind of struck me as strange because, you don't really think of the Night's King as, or even the White Walkers in general, being prone to want to go towards or around fire. But of course, we do have to remember that I don't know if fire is what damages them, but I do know it's Valyrian steel and dragon glass itself. It's not really clear if fire will kill the White Walkers per se. As far as I'm aware, you guys correct me on that if I'm wrong. So that's definitely something I want to talk about with you guys, and I want to know what you guys think about that scene, why the Night's King is walking with flames behind him. It seems very ironic, especially considering that they seem to bring the cold with them wherever they go. And last but not least, the giants walking through the doors of what looks like the gates of a keep or something. I've heard there's discussions as to whether that's Winterfell or it's Castle Black. Sweet YFT, another YouTuber, sent a couple of pictures, kind of comparing that scene with the two images of Castle Black's gates and Winterfell's gates. And it looks to me personally, it looks almost more like it's Castle Black than Winterfell. Of course, I could be wrong, and maybe James, you can put the two. You could show the two in the next couple of seconds. You guys can see for yourselves. And then, of course, I want to hear your thoughts on that. So there's the giant breaking through the gates. You can see there's a rampart above it. And that, of course, is Winterfell. You don't really see the ramparts there.
Yeah. There's snow in that. And there's snow in that first picture, right? Like, isn't that like a wall or a tunnel through the wall?
Precisely, and you can kind of see these ramparts that are present in that picture. See, if you look above the door. So I don't know what you guys think. That's what I noticed. And that's Sweet YFT. You kind of pointed that out. So shout out to her, and shout out to her her discussions with a couple of other actually of our small council members, like Teebaby and Nico, with their Clash of Queens discussions. And of course, Nico, you can talk about that if you like. But that's all I wanted to talk about in terms of events in the North. So, what do you folks think? Any takers? On this topic.
Stop when you mentioned the Night's King and the fire and the others in general. If you go back to the epic episode of the last season when Jon Snow was fighting the other, if you remember, the other or the White Walker entered the hut and there was a lot of fire behind him, and the fire just like, I don't know, it was fire proof or whatever. The fire just like went down when he entered. If you remember that scene.
Yeah.
So the only way that you can kill them is either, as you said, Valyrian steel or the dragon glass, and dragon glass is dragon fire, made stone, whatever they call it. So maybe dragon fire might kill them, but not proper fire. I don't know. But definitely just normal fire. So far, what we've seen, and what can you can see that something, like in this snapshot, that something is burning. I don't know if it's in the vision or maybe Mel sees it like that, but it's actually they wouldn't choose this type of camera for Mel's.
Good point.
Because it's like the camera is behind him and he's doing something. So I don't know. I'm so obsessed. Like, I'm not so hype over everything this coming season. But what I'm really excited about is Bran. Everything Bran is gonna be amazing, I hope. So, LaDonna?
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. LaDonna, go ahead.
I agree with Nick. I think it's not Winterfell. I think it's Castle Black. And, you know, I know that they can change the show, but in the books, 1-1 has a pretty significant role at Winterfell, taking out some smartass. Maybe he's going to take out Alistair. I mean, I think it's at Castle Black. It looks like Castle Black to me.
You said Winterfell, you meant the Wall. That Tormund took out a smartass at Winterfell.
Yeah.
At the Wall, yes. Thank you for correcting me, Jamie.
Can I just say something else? Yes, especially a question for James, because we didn't discuss this before. Night's King showing up, and all the people in the chat room should drink. Night's King, Night's King, Night's King. When he's showing in Bran's vision, this obviously implies that he's also a green seer, right? Because we never kind of touched upon it, ever. He has some power that he can also see, but you never see him around the weirwoods or whatever. So he has this power without the network.
That's actually what I was going to say. To me, Bran is standing beforehand, so I don't think Bran's in a vision, but I don't think Bran's in real life. He's in a vision, and if he's in a vision, then the Night's King grabbing him is our first inclination. The Night's King has similar powers to Bran, that they're both interconnecting. I don't think the Night's King can see the visions, although I think he can kind of through Bloodraven, but not the same way, not like Bran can. But the Night's King can't access them like Bran does, but the Night's King can feel Bran when Bran's present in the moment with him. Does that make sense? And he can interact with him mentally. And the difference in the books with that is that they can explain how it was inside his mind and it felt like. They can't do any of that in the television show. It has to be realized through visuals. So grabbing his hand or saying something is what we have to get. I do want to say the fire was mentioned. When I look at that picture, and I could be wrong, and I lost it for now a split second, but it looked to me like there were bodies behind the fire, or something, like they were looking out over. I don't have a clue. Let me look at it real quick. Somebody else go. Try to find the picture.
Of what? Of the Night's King? With the fire?
Yeah.
I think to me it looked like it's a lot of fire, and then behind you can see like some kind of structure. Or, I don't know.
You did raise an interesting point, though, Nico. It did kind of make me, when you mentioned Melisandre having a vision, possibly, it would make some sense why there was such an intense fire burning around the Night's King.
Yeah.
I didn't really notice any bodies. Maybe, James, if you could pull up a picture. And...
Yeah,
I'm wrong.
The pictures,
I'm wrong about the bodies.
Oh, you did?
I'm wrong about the bodies.
Okay.
Yeah, no bodies. I only see
it's a structure. You're right.
It's a structure.
It's a great photograph.
But is it him from behind or from like?
I think it's him from behind.
Is that snow on the ground, or is that?
Looks like broken rocks.
Yeah, it looks like ice or something with a big crack through it.
You know what would be crazy? You know what this might be? This is out there, and I don't have a clue. But if the Night's King were to grab Bran, to me, the only two possibilities that you go from there is either you get Bran out of the vision really quickly, or the Night's King touching him brings him into another vision that the Night's King's showing him, and this may be it.
Oh. I like it. Because it's going to be. You're right. It's going to be a game of who has higher or who's more powerful mentally, right? Between Bran and Night's King. The trailer seems to make.
Do any of you all think he's really the same person and he's time traveling?
Sorry, what? You have your.
I'll turn her down. No, not me. I think it's meant to be cyclical. It's meant to imply that it's cyclical, which is Christ will come again. Well, I don't mean to implicate Christ, but the idea that things reoccur.
There does seem to be a lot. I mean, I would mentioned in the messages earlier that the image of the kind of grasping the hand is it's very kind of full circle, kind of a bit like full circle-ish.
Let me cut you off there real quick. Somebody's got people in the background. I think it's most likely Nico. Nico, when you're not talking, will you mute it and see if that helps? That's what it was. Thank you, Nico. Go ahead, Claire.
Yeah, and there's lots of other imagery around the circles. Particularly in the last season, we had what was it that I mentioned before? That the poison pool at the House of Black and White with a circle, Sansa's necklace, the funeral pyres with Drogo back in season 1, the dead bodies with the wildlings back in episode 1. So there's a lot of this this keeps cropping up, this sort of circle, and it did make me think full circle when they kind of grasped hands. So I don't know whether that means Bran's looking at himself in the future, or there's some kind of time traveling thing going on there. But there's also another clip with Bran and Bloodraven where it looks like Bran's kind of like Bloodraven's kind of put him under some sort of like into a trance or something, and Bran's kind of leaning back. So I don't know whether that's for show viewers in terms of the trailer, that it's supposed to make it look as though Bloodraven is the Night's King, and then you kind of flash to because Bran's wearing the same clothes. So I don't know. I mean, I just thought it was interesting with the full circle in the imagery of the circles. But yeah.
If I can address that, Claire, when I did the video with James on the significance of salt, somebody in the comments was a chemist, I think, and they said that is the symbol for sodium.
Symbol for what? Sorry?
Sodium.
Sodium, salt. Yeah.
I haven't seen much of the new footage, so I don't have much to offer in the way of what you're all talking about at the moment.
There's what just kind of symbol? What do you mean a symbol? Like the
symbol, Nico, we've seen it a bunch of times. It was the symbol of the wildlings that died way up north in the first scene. They put them in a circle that looked like it had kind of a line through it. It was kind of reiterated with Drogon, and then Sansa has that black yin and yang thing, but it's not curved, the divider. It's a straight thing, and that was what somebody said was an elemental symbol for sodium.
It's also in the Game of Thrones title.
You're right. It is in the Game of Thrones title. Good point.
Like the old alchemist symbol?
Right. You look that up?
So, what else do we want to? Is something about the trailer that you want to point out?
Yeah, especially with the North. Tony, did you want to say anything, or?
About that? Yeah, sure. I think when I see that picture of the Night's King with the fire behind him, it reminds me of Dany and Marine when she was burning those slave people over there. It looks like that to me when I look at that. But, from day one, when I came in this game, I done told you people out there that the children of the forest were evil little motherfuckers. I told you the deal, that anyone who could see in dreams is just whispers of the great others, and all these people are evil. And you shall see this season how evil they really are. And that's what I think about that.
Unless there are two factions of children of the forest, which I started thinking about yesterday. Some might not all be on the same camp. It would be neat if they had infighting among them as well.
They have fought every race of person.
Let Tony finish what he was saying.
The children of the forest has fought every race of person on this earth except for the White Walkers.
You could say the same for humans. What'd you say, Maester Payne?
I was asking him, I think he just answered, what makes them evil?
What makes the children of the forest evil? I mean, you have to look at everything that they do is evil. Taking over somebody's body is an evil act. That's not a nice thing to do to somebody. Anyone who could do that, I don't think is good. I think anyone who could do this walk in the building, that's disgusting. When you look at that, anyone who could see into someone's dreams, as I said before, as it is said, anyone who could see in dreams, that's whispers of the great other. So if they are the people who are doing this, they are the ones who are doing this, they are down with the great other. And that's just the bottom line. They have always been down with the great other. They have fought the giants. They have fought the humans, the Andals, the first men, but they have never tried to put anything on the White Walkers. The only thing you hear about the White Walkers is, oh, they searched down, the humans went to them to try to get a pact formed between them, and that's it. You know what I mean? But they didn't fight. They didn't go out there and go to war with them. They always went to war with everyone. You know, the Starks went to war with them all.
I'm sorry.
Don't interrupt, Mama. Gotta wait till they're done.
But weren't they invaded?
Tony?
Have an argument to fight for their homeland when they're being invaded by the First Men and the White Walkers, maybe, and things like that.
They were invaded by the White Walkers. The White Walkers took over all the Westeros, and they didn't do anything. They just let it happen. All right, they didn't come out and do anything. They had to get hunted down, and they had to go. People had to find them out, go seek them out to go, so they can go negotiate a deal with these people.
I think they're fighting for Earth. Planetus.
They're fighting for themselves because they keep getting. They say there's not that many of them left, you know, and that's the bottom line. They keep getting dwindled down. No one wants to go extinct. They have to see the deal. They must have seen in the future that it's possible for them to go extinct, and they're maybe trying to prevent that from happening.
But does that make them evil?
Yes. If you look at the acts that they have committed, just like I said, walking, taking over people's bodies and stuff.
But there's a law established. Hold on. They're actually taking over human bodies or other people's bodies. I mean, they're taking over animals.
And that makes it right because it's an animal?
I don't know.
I don't know. I've never seen any evidence that the children of the forest can warg. Have you? So I don't know where you're coming from.
We get the whole idea of warging from the get-go comes from the Children of the Forest, or green seeing comes from the Children of the Forest, and green seeing is the closest we have to warging because it's putting your mind into something. But we don't hear any stories of warging except through the later history. So to me, that's all mystified because if we were straight up to hear that the Children of the Forest were wargs, then the humans were wargs, then it's apparent that there was some kind of marriage. They have to kind of make it innocuous.
There's no doubt that the Children of the Forest are wargs and green seers. I don't think that's debatable.
I do think it's debatable, but I respect your opinion. I tend to think that it was the combination of the intermarriage of humans and the Children of the Forest that arose with this evolutionary thing of warging, because I've never heard anything about them being able to warg. Green seeing, yes, but not warging.
When the Starks got their warging ability, they fought the guy, the War King. And after they defeated the War King, they killed all of his sons, and then they took his daughters for brides. And that's most likely how the Starks got their powers. The War King was teamed up with the Children of the Forest when they went up against the Starks at this time, and it said that the Children of the Forest was warging animals and anything else when they fought against the men at that time during the battle. And it's in the world of ice and fire.
I think Tony might be right on that, though, because when the first men came to Westeros, wasn't there descriptions of them getting swarmed by packs of wolves?
By packs of wolves, by packs of animals, by packs of everything. It said the Children of the Forest fought them. They walked animals, beasts, and other things. It says specifically in there.
So, in the new Tarzan movie, is Tarzan a villain or a hero?
You know what? Talking about this North thing real quick, because I hear a lot of things about a lot of different things, especially people in the chats and the comments and all this Walder Frey, real quick, being on the X and the cross and getting burnt. I just have to say this. There's no way that it's Fat Walder on that cross. There's no way. If the scene is they are presenting this to a battlefield army, right? There is no way it's possible that it's Fat Walder Frey. I'm telling you this now. Because remember who they are fighting. They're fighting the wildlings, right? So just imagine if Fat Walder is frying right there in giant Tormund's veins on the other side. This dude's going to say, put an apple in that pig's mouth and let's eat. He's not going to be afraid of that. And that's the bottom line. It's not going to work. So there's no way That is fat.
We don't know who's looking at. We don't know who's looking at the fire from the other angle. We see the fire behind them. That could just be rallying his troops and saying, "Who knows?"
It said it's there to intimidate the other army, and if that's the case, you ain't intimidating no Wilding group by barbecuing some woman out there. It's not happening.
Depends when the armies show up together. I can't see him staking it all up to wait for the. Sorry, Charlie, go ahead.
No, it's okay. Go ahead. Finish your thought, and I'll go after you.
Well, I can't see him staking up these bodies and just sitting there waiting for another army to arrive, or doing it in the middle of a battle, hammering up these people. So I'm sure it was done with some premeditation for some reason.
Of course, and it's to intimidate the army that they're fighting. And if you're fighting
the army, be able to see who the bodies are.
Yeah, if you got, I'm sure that's what they want to know. You got to see the people. That's why I think it's probably a good chance it could be Torment Shines.
They're skinned and they're faceless, so what? They could be anybody, no matter who it is.
I'm sure that before that, when you see them burn, it'll be apparent that they'll somehow let them know that they know that who these people are burning. I don't know how they're going to display that, but I'm sure it'll be apparent that the other army will know who these people are burning.
So again, decoys are in play. Even if it's Fat Walda and Roos, they could be decoys saying they're anybody.
I just don't see how Fat Walda intimidates a Northern army. And it's just not a wildling army. It's just not going to do it. It's just going to make them laugh.
Oh. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Charlie.
Okay, sorry, I was lagging there. I think the argument that it was Fat Walda and Roos, however, came from the fact that Ramsey is kind of saying there's no real reason or logic behind why he would put. Well, there is a reason he puts them there, but it's not as though he's trying to make a point of scaring the enemy. I think it's more so about asserting his authority. At least that was kind of the argument that we were discussing last time. But I want to go on a different subject here because Nico found something on the symbols we were talking about earlier, these symbols that circle in Season 1. So, Nico, why don't you...
Okay. Can you hear me? Charlie's breaking. So, the symbol that's for the sodium, it's not for sodium, it's for nitrogen. This symbol is it's nitrogen, what he's talking about. So, this circle with the horizontal line is actually the only thing I could find is theta or theta, depending on where you're coming from, and this is the necklace, the pendant that. How do I share the screen?
This is Nico. Look at this.
It's like this.
Yeah. That says I don't know, but that says symbol for salt, and that's the symbol. And this old alchemist symbol. For salt.
It's different. I was just looking at.
You know what that reminds me of?
This is different. It's different.
The one with the triangle looks like the thing on the Night's King.
The one? Sorry.
Okay, so I have everything. I just don't know how to share this damn shit.
Sorry. Yeah, the one on the far, like the one with the circle and the line through it, it's exactly like Sansa's necklace as well, isn't it?
Yes, but what does she has to do with salt? And I checked on theta symbolism, and it says in ancient times, Tau, or whatever, that's the symbol was used as a symbol for life and resurrection, whereas the 8th letter of Greek alphabet, theta, was considered a symbol of death. So I think they chose it for this reason, for Sansa, because it's the Dark Sansa, whatever thing. And I also have them. I can share it to James in the chat room in Facebook, guys. So you can see this.
There's also
of that Night King is wearing. It's completely different. To me, it always looked like, I don't know, some kind of crow skull.
In Martin's books, in the Thousand World universe, I think that's what it's called. There's humans developed great technology and ended up being able to genetically manipulate things to such an extent that they actually warred with them. You would create a virus and send it to a planet, or huge creatures, and you could mix the DNA and create new ones. You could grow them really quickly with a time warp thing. Excuse me. But the people who developed that ability wore a golden theta as their symbol. Tough Voyaging is a great little collection of that. But there were also people who had black, who had different color golden thetas, who ended up locked on a planet in one of his particular short stories, locked on a planet, I believe, and they ended up reverting back to medieval times. It's arguable that he's playing with that, and it wouldn't be too. If he was creating such a huge universe, it would be great for him to make this a part of that universe, and all he would have to do is make some connection. I mean, it would just need one fucking sentence where he said, and the comment was fill in the blank.
Yeah.
That makes sense, James. That would explain if it is tied in, as Preston Jacobs has said, that these universes are colliding. That if they were sent back and kind of reverted to medievalism, then it makes sense that way back in time, people were advanced enough to build Valeria. And everybody says, where are these people? And, who built these things? And then, when they're walking through the Sept of Bela, or even Marjorie says, we should not be mad at the Targaryens. Look at this beautiful, beautiful cathedral they built. So it would be very interesting if Martin has taken these people and devolved them back to something that was more primitive. Interesting concept.
As a complete side note, Radio Westeros was just in the comments. I'm going to put your link in the description if anybody hasn't seen Radio in Westeros. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Hey.
Radio Westeros. Sorry, Charlie and Westeros. Radio Westeros.
Let's go back, Jamie.
Can I just say something that I didn't finish? It's completely out there. It doesn't really matter. But when I was checking when you use theta for like temperature or whatever, one of the things where you can use theta for is theta type replication, a type of bacterial DNA replication, which is really cool. I know he didn't use it, but I don't know. It's really funny. Also, I want to go back to, sorry that we're switching, but for Tony and MP's discussion about the wall, fat wall, the guy that's burning on the cross, that's a guy, that's a dude, definitely. But they're only showing one body. And we know from the hush hush, somebody said that they're going to burn two bodies. To me, why not to burn Roose and Fatwalda in front of everybody? Just shows the power that Ramsay have over them. Because if he would just kill them at home, it's like, oh, I just killed my father, and everybody's like, okay. But this is like showing off. He does that all the time. He's showing off. So to me, I might be proven wrong, but to me, it's totally plausible.
I'd like to go back, if you all don't mind, to that symbol, James, that was what the Night's King had on, which is a circle with a triangle through it, which means salt water, according to the alchemical symbols you just showed, which goes back to what we've posited before, that they don't appear to be able to pass salt water. So it would be curious why something he's kind of afraid of, he would make into a symbol. But then again, we've made a lot of symbols of death, in rock albums and all kinds of things, kind of using it as your base to be strong against adversity. Have you got that on you?
I'm full of these.
I love this discussion. Let's try to hone it back down into the trailer. Let's talk about the North real quick. I know we got Sansa and Theon running through the wooded area that's got a lot of snow in it. You also see Brienne fighting in the snow, and we know from the previous trailer that you end up with a hooded person fighting in the snow, and that made me think, wouldn't it be great if Brienne tries to save Sansa and Theon, or maybe is not involved at all, but we have to get Septon Maribald involved in this, and wouldn't that be the perfect thing for him to get involved in? And I don't know, or Septon Maribald, elder brother, whatever he is, and I'm not saying this is what happened, but it's possible that he saves them and takes them away. If it's a hooded person, it's hooded for a reason, but it could be anything. It still could be Benjen, it still could be the Night's King, who the hell knows, and it did look a little like what Mira had going on. Yeah.
I just wanted to get some clarification and maybe summarise and link it back to what the clips that we've seen that relate to the North in the trailer. So it looks like there's going to be two battles or two big fights up in the North. There's the giant crashing through the wall at Castle Black. It looks, I think that's what we're all kind of agreeing, that it looks like it's the wall. So some sort of fight between the kind of the failed Night's Watchmen and the Wildlings, and then you've got something going down at Winterfell where bodies are being burned on banners outside Winterfell. So there's two potentially 2 huge battles, fight scenes in the next season based up in the north. The only other thing that I wanted to point at, a couple of things that I wanted to point out in terms of scenes in the north from the trailer, it looks like Littlefinger's walking through the Godswood at Winterfell, just very briefly. And also there's a clip with Theon's in various different places by the looks of it, so he might scan, he might sort of leap across the conversation that we have in terms of different locations. But there's a clip, one of the clips that you sent, Charlie, that came from, that Anne sent, was a picture of Theon looking really upset, looking as if basically he was crying. You can see him, there's a tear running down his face. You can't really see where he is, you can't see what's going on in the background, but there's somebody at the side of him. You can see somebody's thumb kind of at the side of him, so there's somebody there with him and he's crying, and it just makes me wonder. The only thing I can think just one second, is whether or not Theon has ended up going back to Winterfell. That's why he's crying. Maybe Ramsay's with him. Maybe he somehow either surrendered and went back to Ramsay, or I don't know. Why is Theon crying? Where is he? So that's. I just wanted to kind of summarise it and bring it back to the trailer. But what do you all think?
I saw a bigger picture of that. That was a still that somebody took off that video, and the guy who was next to him in a longer shot has a Bolton helmet on, without any question. Scared Theon.
My personal interpretation of that shot was just that Sansa and Theon were obviously escaping from the Boltons. At this point, the Boltons catch up to them, but I think maybe I'm just oversimplifying this way too much, but I just kind of assumed that unlike Ramsay's last few hunts, this time Brienne shows up and, slays the dog, so to speak, and brings them to safety. I didn't really read into it much more than that. That said, Claire, I think I've heard some weird rumor about, and maybe this is a spoiler, maybe it's not, but it was a rumor that Sansa, Littlefinger, Ramsay, and I think Theon were supposedly filming at Winterfell. I don't know if this is even true. I don't know where. I forget where I heard this, but that's one of the rumors I've been hearing. So maybe there's something to what you're saying.
Complete side note a little bit on that one about Theon crying. I mentioned last video that I watched Lord of the Rings again recently, and the thing that they do in the Lord of the Rings with Gollum is more overt. The idea of the personality war is more overt because we only get the external perspective in the books. For the most part, because the author kind of just does what he wants. But the idea that Gollum is helping, but and means it when he is empathetic. Also, you can't trust him. That's what Reek represents to me. Theon, Reek, Smeagol, Gollum. He is tormented, and when he's with Sansa, all of the things that he's done are going to flood back at him. He no longer thinks he's trapped. But as soon as he has an inkling that he could be under Ramsay's thumb again, it all comes back, and he's torn. He thinks he has been tricked into thinking that Ramsay's around every corner and behind every lamppost. He thinks that anything that happens is actually Ramsay fucking with him. So yes, I think he'll crying moments where I can't believe what I've done. Yeah, they weren't Bran and Rickon, but I fucking killed 2 kids. I've ruined everything. I'm the reason Robb died. I betrayed my real father. But that is kind of his arc to me, because ultimately we don't know if we can trust him. And what happens to Gollum? Gollum dies because we can't trust him, and as a result saves the world. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen to Theon, but it's worth thinking about.
Just if we ever do go back to the kind of kill list that we started last week, Theon would be on that list for me. I don't think he's going to make this season. I don't think he's going to finish. So it's quite clear from the trailer for the TV show viewers that Sansa and Theon make it. They escape the fall from the wall at the end of last season, and they make it. But do we think that? So do you think that Theon stays with Sansa then throughout the season? Do you think they split up at some point?
I think I don't know.
Lauren needs him. She can't rule without him. So I don't think he dies. I think they go back and jointly rule at the Ironborn place.
I think that my mom had an idea a long time ago that Theon will end up being a priestly figure, a lone priestly figure, and I could see that happening because he's so tainted, and it's like an extreme of what we get with Septon Maribald or the Elder Brother, so tainted that any interaction with humankind is arguably a detriment to him, and I don't know that, but it's random thoughts. Yeah.
My personal thought on Theon is that following the event, because of his, supposed betrayal of his two brothers, because we're led to believe or at least the people of the North are led to believe he killed Bran and Rickon, I think he's almost going to feel, not indebted, but he'll have a new sense of redirected loyalty towards Sansa and want to stay with her and help her in any way he possibly can. So my hunch is that if he's not always with Sansa from now on, he'll at least be doing some kind of action to help her cause, unless, of course, he gets killed off.
Yeah.
Right.
To me, I don't
Anybody
know
else?
if I see him in the Iron Islands because it's not his home. I mean, he was brought up in Winterfell, and he made some crazy shit there, so he needs to redeem himself. But
yeah, but Yara cannot rule Pike because it's a patriarchal society. That's the whole point of the Kingsmoot. She's got to bring Theon back as the figurehead while she rules. And it appears in the show that she's now in a lesbian relationship, so that gets rid of any inheritance because both of the kids are not going to have children. So it's really bizarre.
I don't think she's in a lesbian relationship only because, and now they could go that way. I think we might have talked about this in the last one. I have a little bit of an issue.
Hold on.
I have a little bit of an issue. I didn't hear what you said, Claire. I have a little bit of an issue with her being a lesbian because, I mean, I wouldn't mind it. There are lesbians that are, excuse the term, I don't mean it derogatorily, but what you would call dykish, more aggressive and male-looking, and it's done intentionally sometimes. But to me, that's a stereotypical thing, and we can't really point to another lesbian, and that kind of bothers me that they would go that direction. Loras is a fucking badass. If it wasn't for one of our first scenes being him fucking messing around with Renly, it really wouldn't occur to us, arguably. About the Yara and Theon, I had a random theory I talked about with my mom. Yara can't become queen of the Iron Islands because she's already been a candidate at a Kingsmoot, and we're getting a Kingsmoot arguably this next season, and we're getting fucking Euron, and it looks like we're getting Silence too, his ship, in the first trailer. But Theon can become king, even though it seems he can't be a ruler. Well, what if Asha brings Theon back, gets him chosen, elected as king, and then marries him? Which is foreshadowed by him making sexual advances on her, and by the Targaryens marrying brother and sister, and by Jaime and Cersei's sexual history. Then, if Theon leaves to become a monk on the God's Eye, in my mom's opinion, and I think that's a good idea, then Asha becomes queen by proxy.
That's interesting. The only reason I thought Reek might end up becoming more of a religious figure is because there is a historical place called Reek, which is part of an Irish pilgrimage. So that's where I came from that when I was researching history. I do want, if I can mention one thing about Yara, and y'all can move on. In the books, for people who haven't read it, Yara's a badass like she is in the show. But she has a pirate lover who sneaks into her room and kind of takes her by force, which she loves. And I love the dynamic that she's kind of a powerful woman by day, and at night she's kind of a submissive, give it to me girl. And I like the dynamic of that, but we're not going to get to see it. I think they went the other way because they don't have a homosexual relationship between women on the show. And that's fine. If they want to do a politically correct, let's show everything. But I was a little disappointed because they're not investigating the other thing. But
we didn't have any lesbians on the...
I don't remember any.
Yiki
No,
or
not as of
whatever. The ones that Dany was...
Dany's...
That was a lesbian by circumstance, not by desire.
And Cersei as well.
Mixing books and in the books... Cersei
Yeah, in the
was
books,
still
Dany and Cersei have same sexual encounters.
But if I'm not mistaken, neither of them are actual sexual. It's more of a bisexuality curiosity than it is an actual lesbian interest. They're not lesbians in the sense that they want to be with a female for the rest of their lives. which nobody that
I
doesn't
also
define
don't
sexuality
like that
either.
they went this, if they're gonna go with Yara to this, because why?
Keep in mind, they could also make her a bisexual character, not a lesbian. And then also, maybe I'm completely wrong. I got the vibe she was with like a courtesan or a prostitute type figure. Maybe I'm completely wrong on that. That's the
Maybe
vibe I got
she's-
from the picture of
I'll let
her.
Nico.
Oh, sorry. Also, in terms of the Greyjoy stuff, just to go back on the Theon aspect, and I want to bring this back to something LaDonna said before. You know, you talked about this with Danny quite a bit, the theme of wanting to find one's home, and I think the search for a home or to be at home is a really big theme in the Song of Ice and Fire series and Game of Thrones to a certain degree. And again, that's kind of why I feel Theon really belongs in the North, because it's been stated over and over again that's his home, which is why I do have a lot of trouble seeing him going back to the Iron Islands, just because of how little he fits in there, and I think that's been restated over and over again in the series. But again, he could very well go back, and that's a very interesting theory you both propose in terms of the marriage of those two siblings. Also, last thing, in terms of the presenting Loras as like a really manly figure, I don't know if I would agree with that on the show for a few reasons, especially when you have him with Sansa and he's talking about his brooches and being afraid of blood. But anyway, that's a whole other conversation. What do you want to say, Nico? You had a thought?
Yeah, I was.
That was Ridley, not Theon. Sorry.
Sorry, you're right.
Yes.
I mean, not.
Really, not Loras, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with Charlie when he said that this chick that Yara or Asha seems to be hanging it looks like more like high-paid escort or something. So, and there's a lot of people, as I remember from the trailer, there's a lot of people watching. So maybe she's just showing off her power. That was like I'm like Oberyn, but in the Iron Islands or something.
That's what I pictured. I pictured her being a group of.
It's just out of the character, so.
Yeah.
That's what I pictured, her being with a group of men, and the courtesan, maybe Euron's trying to like schmooze her up, and she goes and kisses Yara, and Yara, being a badass, didn't give a fuck. Yeah.
But a lot of people think that I'm a lesbian because I have a short hair, which is like, no, I like men.
I never thought you were, because you said, paint me like I'm your French woman.
All right.
Why don't we migrate the conversation towards the Iron Islands, since we've kind of gone in that direction. And also, I think people want to hear from Tony as well. So do you have any thoughts on that, Tony?
On what?
Iron Islands, Yara, lesbianism.
I've talked about the lesbianism on the Iron Islands and how I felt about that before. I think we did that last video. I just don't see the sense of it. Why make anything like that? I thought it was known that she was trying to go and get Theon to overturn the King's Moot that already happened. She was trying to protest it because Theon wasn't there. And I thought that was why she was going out there. In the books, her and Theon wind up in the same place, and that's captured by Stannis Baratheon. And if they're going to continue that course, possibly they can get captured by Jon Snow. They're going to have Jon take the place of Stannis Baratheon. Or if they're going to give Yara, Victoria on Greyjoy's part, have her go off to Marina. So
I guess that it would be too difficult to show her married by proxy to a seal, which is what happened in the books, remember? A seal stood in her place when they married somebody.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
I don't remember.
I remember that. I've got a few things to say on the Ironborn next season. I think that straight off the bat in episode 1, we'll see the show expediting this idea that, with Euron returning and that Euron killed Balon. Balon's still alive and well in the show, remember? So I think he's going to be offed in episode 1, and we will see quite clearly in the TV show that it's Euron that does this. And that will clear that up. I think it's just a quick and easy way to sort of let them sort of introduce him into the show, and for it to be for a particular reason. I also have heard, and I don't know where I've heard this from because I do listen to YouTube when I'm falling asleep at night, so subliminal stuff can kind of slip in there, who knows. But I've heard that the idea is that Yara is kind of merging her character with Victarion next season, which means somebody had supposed that that could have meant that clip that we saw with the lesbian kiss could be Yara and the equivalent of the Dusky Woman on the boat going to Essos, and that's going to be Yara's mission next season. So I'm just putting that out there. I don't know where I heard it from, but I thought that was quite an interesting idea. It could have been Teflon TV, I don't know.
I think you're entirely right about the Euron thing. In the earlier trailer, we get a split second of Euron on the bridge with rain coming down. So I think it's solidified that he's going to be the one that does it. I think there's still a question of whether it's actually him or a faceless man, because the show has made a point of showing us that you don't necessarily have to be dead to have a faceless man thing of you, and that there's apparently multiple faces. You can't. It's not just one that goes back around, which I don't think the book's going to do. But I think Martin would be willing to play back and forth if necessary for what goes on in the storyline. But Baelon's die in this season. We're getting a Kingsmoot, and Euron's coming back. Yeah. I like the idea of Victarion being mixed.
We've also seen other people kill other people in place of other people, so it doesn't matter who kills Baelon as long as Baelon dies. We've had interchangeable figures killing people throughout the show.
Can I ask you all something?
Yeah.
I mean,
go ahead.
We know what's gonna go with Baelon, and then we have Euron, Victarion, whatever. But yeah, the show is whatever. It's too complicated. But in the books, it's too complicated too. I don't know how Martin's gonna finish. Who's gonna? Are they gonna be Greyjoys in the end? What's the end game for them? That's why I cannot figure out, like, oh, we can be anything, but nothing too plausible to me. If you understand what I'm saying, it's just like they're all over the place. They're angry with everybody. They just want to fight and fucking whatever. I don't know.
Well, I guess my question is Euron going to go try to find Dany?
Very good question, LaDonna.
What is their role in the scheme of the rest of Westeros? They're not there for no reason. So somebody's got to go and try to meet Dany, and I think he's taken the place of Victarion. Of course, in the books, we think Euron sent Victarion ahead to kind of clear the way for Euron to get where he's going. The Greyjoys have a big role to play later, and I think it's connected with Dany. What say you?
Shall I go, or does anybody else want to go first?
I could just say that the first ones that were introduced were just Theon, and then we had Yara, whatever. But then we got introduced to all the other brothers later in the books. So are they just introduced to make the complicated situation even more complicated, or I don't know.
Well, I think we got introduced to Damphair before we got introduced to Yara. Did Damphair come down to see Theon?
No, but we got introduced.
Did he? I thought.
Theon's eyes.
Yara brought him, or Asha brought him back on the horse before he got there, right?
He baptized him, didn't he, when he arrived back in the Iron Islands?
Yes.
But
he went first to meet with his father.
But they didn't dunk him.
And then he was baptized after.
I have a question. I have something I thought of this week. Have you all ever made the connection with the Greyjoys' Drown God's motto with the Night's King? Because it is, what is dead may never die, but rises harder and stronger. I mean, their idea of a god is almost exactly what the Night's King is. The line of night near Yeti and Essos is almost the same thing. In other words, they're all and I'm not saying he's a god, but they're all pointing to this semi-immortal figure who keeps emerging that they're worshiping. So I never realized their motto was really the Night's King.
You is it more question you want to ask? Because I want to respond to all the questions you posed. I think like 5 or 6 just now, so I kind of want to answer them possibly. If it's okay, unless you want to ask another one, Nico.
Do it, Charlie.
Okay. Just to rewind a little bit, because we were talking first about Euron and Euron on the bridge. I just want to mention that quickly with response to Claire. I think there are a bunch of YouTubers, including myself, and I think Tony, and there's a bunch of us who mentioned the idea that Euron was probably on the bridge. Whether or not it's a faceless man, that's another question. I think it's going to be just Euron because it simplifies things and also kind of solidifies the fact that he's a badass character in general, which is kind of what we want to see. Nico, you brought up the question as to what the purpose of the Greyjoys were. In terms of the grand scheme of things, I really think that not to say their storyline is on the periphery, but theirs is probably one of the more malleable ones, given that the real focus is, more on the North, like Jon Snow, his archetype, the White Walkers, and all that. So I think that their role can really change a lot between the books and the show, and we've seen it's kind of has changed quite a bit. They do seem to represent a very chaotic force, and I like what LaDonna said in comparing them to their motto "Without of the White Walkers, we do not sow." What was it? What is dead may never die, but comes back stronger, etc. We can see that with actually quite a few characters. If we look at also, it works with the elements of ice. When we talk about the others and their zombies and whatnot. But it also works if you want to look at the R'hllor figure and the fact that the Red Priests can also revive people. When we look at Beric Dondarrion, he comes back seemingly stronger, and etc. etc. There was another question you guys asked. I'm trying to remember what it was. Right, Danny. My hunch, and maybe I'm completely out to lunch on this one, my hunch is that they might replace Euron. They might have Euron go to the Slavers Bay area, especially if you want to expect Dany to go back to Westeros. It would make sense in the sense that it would provide her with a very fast, efficient way to just get over there ASAP, considering they have a huge fleet the Iron Islanders have a huge fleet. And there hasn't really been much of a mention of any major fleet in the Slavers Bay region, so I can definitely see them going that direction. And I think that's all the questions you guys asked. So I just want to respond to all that stuff.
I like the
go ahead, Nico.
She needs a fleet of ships to get the Dothraki across.
Yeah, especially the Dothraki. They don't have any boats.
Yeah.
We're getting to it later. Since we're on to Dany versus the split second. We should get to it later, but you mentioned the ships. Yeah. That we saw the dragon coming over all those people. Dany's getting to Westeros on that dragon, and this season will be her last steps in Westeros for the rest of her life, in my opinion.
In Essos.
Dany's definitely riding the dragon, but she's got to get her army over there, and they got to have ships.
Exactly.
On the what is dead may never die.
Hold on. I think Nico wanted to say something. Yeah, sorry, Jim.
Yeah. Well, I think Martin played. We have to distinguish something because Martin repeatedly said, and we have in So Spake Martin, that Night's King is. Well, he probably doesn't want to say anything, right? But he said that it's just a figure from the legends or whatever. But this, what is that may never die? It's actually from Lovecraftian things, so it just plays into the Night's King. But this is, the whole Kingsmoot and the whole Iron Islands is a lot of Cthulhu mythos or something, or Dagon or something like that, the old ones. If you're a fan of horror books as I am, so probably a lot of people know that. Mm-hmm. So that's it for me.
Go ahead, James.
The what is dead may never die is also a reference to the hero's journey, because hero has to have a death during his cycle in order to become what he is. In the Cthulhu mythos, which is what she's referencing, what Nico's referencing, which is Lovecraft, the following quote: "That is not every Lovecraft fan worth his salt will know the following quote: That is not dead which can." This is in a different language. That which is not dead. That is not dead which can live it.
Which cannot die in strange eons.
That is not dead which can eternal lie, and with strange eons even death may die.
Yes. Yes.
That is not dead which can eternal lie. In other words, if you're immortal, you're not dead, and with strange eons even death may die. So if you have infinite time, then even things that can't die may die. So I love it. There's also what is that? Yeah.
Yeah, he played on that. If you know anything about Lovecraft, then you know that the whole Iron Islands is definitely that. The homage.
Absolutely.
I love Lovecraft, but he's like insane. Really hard to figure out.
MP or Claire or Tony, did you guys have any thoughts on this current train of thought, I guess?
Tony, what do you think is gonna? What is the purpose of Greyjoys, and what's the end game?
Well, the Greyjoys, when you hear about them in the books, it started off with Harry the Black was basically ruling basically all the Westeros until the Targaryens came over and dethroned them. So I think it's possibly, most likely, that's the scenario that'll possibly play out again with Euron. The Euron will come across and basically almost have all Westeros locked up. I'm sure he realizes how his ancestor went wrong, and how he went wrong is he didn't have a dragon. So I think Euron's plan is to get that dragon and come back and do exactly what his ancestor did. As I said before, I think that the Greyjoys probably will be the biggest enemies going forward once the Boltons are defeated.
I like that, Tony, and that ties into the ships too. Yeah.
I think one of the most interesting things about the Ironborn is the sea stone chair itself. And the you know, it's kind of pre-history. There isn't, you know, it's way back in the, way before the sort of Age of Heroes, and it kind of maybe links to this. I don't know if there's some sort of like ancient, forgotten, mythical race that lives under the sea, and that they kind of made or created the sea stone chair. I don't know. I mean, I doubt we'll get anything covered like that in the next TV season. But in terms of the overall, where are the Greyjoys going? I mean, for the TV show, they're a secondary family, obviously, and it's similar to the Martells and the Dornish, and from a very strict kind of TV production point of view, I suppose. What they had to weigh up was, we can either have the Dornish storylines or the Ironborn, and they chose last season quite poorly, in my opinion, to represent the Dornish storyline last season. So it's kind of like, right, Ironborn, you're up. So it's it's the season for the Ironborn this season. So I'll be interested to see how they handle it, and whether or not they make a better job of it than they did with the Sand Snakes, etc. So yeah, that's why.
I really feel like the Sand Snakes whole issue with them was a centralized issue. I feel like it stemmed from. I agree that it was a mess up, but I think it had more to do with the fight choreography and with these characters not getting. We weren't given much backstory to them. It was one scene and then the action scene. That was a.
And we will be back. You know, it's not the only time that we're ever going to see the Dornish and Doran and what's going on at Sunspear, etc. We will be back, even though we haven't got Ariane, and you know they've had difficult choices to make, I guess.
If I can,
go ahead, LaDonna.
Hold
on, LaDonna, go ahead.
Just two things, Claire. I agree with you and James. I think they chose the Dornish thing because they're more connected with the potential Targaryen line in their plans. But if I can go back to your thing about the sea stone chair, just so that some people who've not read the books, you know, it looks like that's made out of obsidian. And there's also that same kind of polished black, almost oily stone that is the base of either the Citadel or I think it's Hightower's tower. So and it seems to be made of the same thing as obsidian is, which burns. And in order for it to burn like a candle, it's got to have some oil in it. So I think that Valyrian steel, the candles, the sea stone chair, and the base of the city of learning has a lot to do with the ancient history of Planetos. So thank you for mentioning that.
I want to say that I respectfully disagree with my mom's analysis, because it burns not because of it's got oil in it, otherwise they would all burn. It burns because of magic.
Yes.
But sorry about that, I'm sick. The obsidian is in real life, and we don't know where magic comes in on this, but obsidian is a result of volcanic activity. Volcanoes are typically associated with islands. That's generally how islands are formed. and the Iron Islands, it may be a situation with that. I did want to say that the Greyjoys to me represent making peace with pride. The idea of saying we do not sow. It's not. What a fucked up thing to say. To say we're not gonna do that. That's not us. You're gonna do it, and we're gonna take it from you. Yes, that's a pirate mentality. There's no fucking land on this ocean. We're not growing pots on the starboard bow, but we take it from other people. Well, Yara represents the ability to be a badass, but to also empathize with the people that are your people. And the fact that she's a woman is, I think, a strong part of that. Not that being a woman makes her any more likely to empathize or any less likely to be manly, but the idea that she's ostracized for having those characteristics, partly because she's a woman, and ironically enough, they don't treat women that differently if they earn their keep there in that sense. But at the same time, Cersei, if she would have been taught how to fight from an early age, could have been a great fucking fighter. We'll never know. But it wasn't a gift that was given to her. Yara had it, and Yara earned it. And arguably, Yara only got it because Balon had no other fucking sons.
Good argument.
About the pride thing, Victarion kills his own fucking wife because he thinks that Euron could have raped her, and he doesn't know whether she was raped or willingly, but it doesn't matter to him. It was his pride that was wounded. Balon refuses to kneel. I mean, they represent we do not sow. The Greyjoy's crux, the arc, is to make peace with pride.
Okay. Well, to me, it's more the legends that and their way of life is more interesting than they're just a crazy bunch of crazy fuckers. Sorry,
Yeah,
Kraken. But what I like is just a second.
Hold on.
The whole story about the Sea Stone Chair and the Naga's ribs. That's what I find really interesting. Like the Kraken. It's not dragon because the dragons have like black bones, right? If I remember correctly. So Naga it's a really big, monstrous animal, but the bones are white if you go to VKOS and 5.0. So that's really, really interesting because there has to be some kind of monster that they found. I mean, it's not a whale because they had the skull also. So it's really cool.
The King's Moot is going to look fantastic on TV, I think.
I hope they did a good job.
LaDonna, did you want to say something?
The only thing I was going to add is that in the books, Yara had an uncle who always lived in a library, who was very balanced, but he kind of stayed away from the rest of the Ironborn. And remember, her mother was deemed to be crazy. Balon didn't even live with her because after her sons died in that stupid-ass war he started, and then Theon was taken away, all she did was wander the halls asking for her children until Yara told her what Yara was doing, and she started coming out of this funk, which I think is kind of a metaphor for the funk Sansa's going to come out of once she gets out of this depressive, repressive position. But yeah, they're not all crazy.
Yeah, you're right, but this uncle you're talking about, that's the brother of the mother, so he's not a Greyjoy.
Oh.
And I think she's from out of the woman is not from Iron Islands. I think she's from the mainland. I'm not sure. I might be wrong. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So maybe
what did you just show us, James? What was that? Sorry, I missed it.
Jon Snow Patrol.
You know that cave? We should have stayed in that cave.
We should all stay in the fucking cave. Yeah.
All right. Anybody else got anything on the Greyjoys?
I wanted to, unless somebody else wants to speak first, I want to respond to something LaDonna, or was it Claire, or was it Nikos? One of you guys said something about the chair, the Sea Stone chair. I personally, I think it might actually feed back into, I think it was LaDonna's idea of, or James's and LaDonna's idea of the cyclical aspect of things kind of going in cycles in Westeros, because it's not the only really, really, really ancient artifact or evidence of technology or humanoid existence so long ago in Westeros, but there's also other things like towers that almost seem to resemble those of Valyria from what I recall in parts of Westeros. Maybe I'm completely out to lunch on that, but I seem to remember that. And also even the fact that, again, I might be wrong on this one as well, but the fact that the ice dragon tail, what is it like this? The fact that the ice dragon tail seems to take place in Westeros and not in like a proto-Valyria. Again, maybe I'm wrong on that, but that was my impression anyway. So a lot of interesting aspects of it kind of point to this cyclical notion of civilizations rising and falling, not only probably in Westeros, but the entire land of Westeros and Essos and other parts of that known world. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Old geese, yeah.
Geese. I mean, if you look at our history, we also have the pyramids, or I don't know, like what Greeks did and what happened, how.
Atlantis.
Yeah. Chemtrails. Okay.
All right, I think maybe we should move on to another location. James, did you have any in mind?
Why don't we stay in Westeros and work our way down? How about, is there anything else?
Agreed.
Is there anything else in the north? All right, let's move to the Riverlands.
Riverlands.
We really don't have a whole lot on the Riverlands.
Well, James, if I could propose Riverlands / King's Landing, since that whole area, there's a lot of overlap, I would argue.
Good.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you want to say your piece, or do you want me to say something?
I don't really have a whole lot. So it looks like, again, spoiler stuff. I know that that's a no shit thing, but I'm just going to talk. And I'd like, after I talk, just for Tony Teflon to go, because we haven't heard a lot from him. So we're obviously getting Marjorie's being treated like shit in the prisons. She's apparently going to come out. It looks like she might be pretty devout when she comes out. Tommen is being talked to not only... She's talked to by the High Sparrow. It looks like he's getting influenced a lot by that. So the combination of Marjorie and Tommen with the High Sparrow, that combination is the potential for another... what happened with the Church of England. You end up with you develop your own church, but then you give it too much power, and you end up with a split of authority. But then we end up with Jaime with what looks like Robert Strong behind him, and the massing of the Kingsguard, and the White Cloaks and the Gold Cloaks, and Jaime is going, and the Tyrells are apparently involved, going up to talk to the High Sparrow. But it also kind of looks like that may have happened. Why would they be going up there? Either to end the whole thing or to get Marjorie. That seems like more likely the result of what they're going for. But if they get up there and Marjorie's on the side of the High Sparrow, then Jaime is like, there's nothing else to fucking do here. I don't know what you want me to do. Cersei and Jaime are going to have a falling the fuck out. Something has to happen this season where Jaime goes, I can't do this anymore. And he's still going to have this connection to her, but we need the letter burning, which in my opinion will happen at the end of this season or the beginning of next season, when we get some symbol that Jaime appears to be done with her. And we know Jaime's going to the Riverlands this season. We arguably know that Blackfish is coming back. I can't fucking wait to have Blackfish and Jaime talk back and forth. That's going to be the shit. Which means we also are going to get Edmure back, which is going to be awesome. Now that may not happen this season, maybe next season, but it looks like Brienne is in the north at the moment. In my opinion, if we're getting Septon Maribald, then they have to come a little south in order for that to happen, because it's got to be Brienne she talks to, in my opinion. He talks to, in my opinion, one way, whether in the north or at Riverlands. And in my opinion, and we have no evidence of this, I'm talking only from my own opinion. I've been wrong more times than I've been right, I guarantee you. In my opinion, there's no fucking doubt we're getting Lady Stoneheart in episode 9 or 10. And if that happens, it needs to be Brienne that's with her. So if that happens, then Brienne needs to be in that area. So that pretty much knocks out the majority of those. I'm trying to think of what's missing. Is any characters I'm missing in that area?
Did you mention Blackfish?
I did. Blackfish.
Black. Amy.
I have a big question before you go
And if,
there.
sorry. One last thing. If Jaime leaves, if Marjorie, Tommen, and the High Sparrow end up creating this religious faction, then Cersei has no power. She doesn't have Tommen. She has no fucking power. And if that's up, who's the only person she can turn to?
Littlefinger.
The only person is Littlefinger. And she will burn down the fucking world just like Littlefinger will if it means she gets more. And that's where she's going. And I don't know how they're going to end up with this happening, but that's where she's going. And that may happen next season. But
Well, we talked about that a long time ago. I mean, that's that Harrenhal Cersei connection. I wanted to say this.
Let me hear Tony real quick, and then we'll hear. I'm not trying to interrupt you, Mom, but we haven't heard Tony a little bit. You can go in just a second.
I'm not trying to cut anybody off.
King's Landing and Riverlands. Tony?
All right. So first off, I think that when people think about the Greyjoys or whatever, I think that they're real quick. They're a very important house. You're introduced to them right off the first bat from the first chapter of the book. There's no difference, as I said, there's no difference between the Greyjoys and the Targaryens. They're island people who came to Westeros and just about conquered it. Targaryens, island people who came to Westeros, just about conquered it. Their words are just about the same. We do not so. You hear Dany say all the time, I'm going to take what's mine with fire and blood. That's just about the same thing. I'm going to take this, I'm going to do that. That's them. As for King's Landing, I think that Tom is going to get killed by Sir Robert Strong. I think that Marjorie's going to join the Faith. I think that Loras gets killed by Sir Roderick Strong. Qui-Gon gets killed by Sir Roderick Strong. All down there. So I think will happen in those places.
As the train goes by. Do you guys think there'll be a Clegane Bowl, as they put it?
Not yet. Not yet. Can I
Eventually.
since I missed last week, can I add this to the scenes between Tommen and Cersei and Jaime in the last trailer that came out before?
Sure, but we didn't talk about the scene last time either.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
We only talked about the North, yeah.
Okay. My impression was, and again, you can't take anything with the scenes because they've intercut them so much. We don't know when they happen. But I do think this one was important. They've got a scene coming with Tommen with the military people behind him looking nervous but intent from this direction. Then you get Cersei with her people coming this way. This is the way I think it's going to blow up. Tommen and Cersei are not going to be on the same side, period. Tommen is going to go after Marjorie, and Jaime is going to be put in the middle between Cersei and Tommen. And I think at this point, especially after having his heartfelt conversation with Myrcella before she died, he is going to take Tommen's side. And he's going to try to dance it with Cersei, but as you all know, you can't ever dance anything with Cersei. Cersei uses people, and Jaime's going to see it. He is finally going to side on his children's side, and that is the end of their relationship. And I don't think y'all mentioned it last time. I'm not sure you went over it at all. I did watch it. I can't remember. But I think that is it, and that is when Jaime goes. And when Jaime goes, man, he goes. and you know, any book readers know those Riverland chapters with Jaime and Blackfish are so important. I mean, I just felt like, oh my God, can you guys please not just team up? Please team up. But I think that's what's going to happen. I don't know that Tommen's going to die immediately, but we all know he's going to die. The prophecy says he's going to die. So I don't know if Robert Strong takes him out yet. But Clegane Bowl is not happening yet, in my opinion. Martin likes to give a smaller scenario and then build it to a crucial climax with one that kind of parallels it. I think the Clegane Bowl this time might happen between Lancel and Gregor. But then I think the Hound's going to get pulled back later. After we've gotten reintroduced to him, we're going to have an immediate trial pretty soon after this season starts. I think that Sandor has to be reintroduced before Clegane Bowl comes on. So, folks, be patient. I believe it's coming, but it's not coming yet.
I agree with you. You mentioned Lancel. One thing about Jamie, Jamie still doesn't know about Lancel and Cersei.
The whole city does.
That could be the thing that causes the fight between them.
She's fucked everybody, including Moon Boy.
I do think that we will see Cersei being the most evil that she's been so far on the TV show next season.
Let's call her crazy.
She's just going to go for it, I think. I agree with what James was saying earlier. There's nothing left now for Cersei. She's lost her father, she's lost 2 of her children, and it looks like Tommen's affections are elsewhere. And she feels that both her brothers in different ways have betrayed her. So she's completely on her own. And I do think as well that Tommen will be gone by the end of the season. And that will create a kind of natural void in terms of the, who's in charge of Westeros, who's on the Iron Throne at that point. So there's, and maybe that's a natural way for kind of
Insurgency. Rebellion.
A rebellion, or Dany arriving fortuitously at the same time. But I think, so there's nothing holding Cersei back next season. I think she's just going to absolutely go for it. And I think the scenes that we've seen in the trailer of her and Jaime being amorous is what you don't see is the next bit, which she tears him to pieces.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
he brought back another dead child.
Go ahead, Claire.
So I was just saying, Jaime's bringing back to Cersei another dead child, and if that isn't going to cause a fight between them, then,
Well, Cersei's going to want to go to war with Dorne, and Jaime's going to say, we're not doing it. And, he'll side with Tommen. Again, another reason to. Another thing, James, when you said who's Cersei going to side with, it's going to be join with Littlefinger. Well, let's go back to what Varys said about Littlefinger. If he could, he would be king of the ashes. Well, that's perfect because Cersei's going to be queen of the ashes too, because she is going to light King's Landing on fire. It's been foreshadowed.
Here. LaDonna, you already know my thoughts on the Cersei bringing down King's Landing. I'm 100% with you on that. Game Boy, I agree with you as well. I think it's too early for that as well. In terms of things at King's Landing, I'll have to go back in my own head of the predictions I made for that. But I do think Marjorie's going to pretend she is with the Sparrows. I think she's going to put on an act to, make it seem like she's on their side. I don't know. I can't really predict anything in terms of who's going to be killed by who, obviously. But it does seem interesting how Cersei was ready to engage in a fight with Lancel Lannister when she has the mountain by her side. So it'll be interesting to see what happens after that scene, or what happens when she makes that statement of she chooses violence, for sure. Those are my main thoughts. Oh, Lady Stoneheart, I don't know if we did this last week, but I wanted to do the poll of who thinks Lady Stoneheart is going to come back this season, if at all. I think we did, but LaDonna was not here.
Let's do that poll. If I can cut in to say one thing about that. They said that Cersei's trial was not over. She is only absolved of the sin she admitted in last season. She still has to have whatever trial is going to occur because of the cheating on Robert, I think was the issue. No, sleeping, I can't remember. No, she didn't admit to sleeping with Lancel. No, she admitted to sleeping with Lancel. She did not admit to sleeping with Jaime, and Lancel was after Robert, so it wasn't technically cheating on the king. So she's still got to stand trial. That, without a doubt, will be a trial by combat, and the Mountain will fight. And if anybody's going to fight with the Faith of the Seven, it has to be Lancel. There's nobody else to do it. And if that happens, Lancel's a fucking goner. Unless there's something weird that happens, Lancel's a fucking goner.
Well, yeah. I think what we're seeing is gradual reigns of Castamere happen to the Lannisters. I mean, Kevin's going soon. We all know that. And Lancel's going to go. That's the end of their line. I mean, Myrcella's dead. Joffrey's dead. Tommen is a man on waiting time to die. Cersei's going to die by the hands of the Valancourt, who I believe is Jaime. That's my opinion. And Jaime's going to die too. That is
No!
Yeah, he has to, because that is their prophecy. The reigns of Castamere they exerted on other people. That karma is coming back to kill out that whole family. And that means maybe Tyrion goes, but I don't want him to.
You wanted to speak, Nico?
Yeah,
Tyrion's not gone. Tyrion's hand at the fucking game. Jaime's gone. Goes out with his sister.
So anyway, I don't care. It's just characters in the book. As long as I can get to watch pictures on the internet of Nikolai Coster, I'm fine. So I agree with most of what you said. Cersei is gonna have trial by combat. Robert Strong versus probably Lancel. But I was thinking Loras. What's Loras's?
He's in jail. He can't do it.
He can't do it.
Yeah,
right?
why would Loras fight the Mountain?
No, but it was the first fight for the tourney of the hand, and he needs to. I mean, we have the trial for Marjorie, we have the trial for Loras, and we have the trial. So, he needs to redeem himself. Maybe he can choose to fight by himself or something.
Unless they do a trial by 7.
Or what if they have what if they tell Loras the only way he can get out of prison is if he fights the trial on behalf of the Sparrows? That'd be interesting.
Yeah. They can bribe him. Yeah, they can play. Because we forgot about Loras. He has a purpose in the books.
And season 1, remember season 1 between the Mountain and Loras, that joust?
Yes. It's the tourney of
so
the
it
hand.
does create a nice, beginning
circle.
and end for their storyline.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Full circle.
I think
Did
I
you
mentioned
guys?
it.
Oh, go ahead.
Then,
Go ahead. Sorry.
My question is, I really forgot in the books, how did Jaime get to go to the Riverlands? What happened? What was the issue that he got back there?
To quell the rebelling Riverland lords. Yeah, there was
A siege, right?
Yeah, the siege of what's that place called? Oh my God.
Riverrun.
Riverrun, yeah, of course, Riverrun, and the little trees. No, that tall trees. There's another little.
Okay, but
there was another last bastion.
How are they gonna play it in the show? What do you think?
Well, Edmur's going to be hanging every day, remember? They take him out and they act like they're going to hang him all day long. He's going to tell him, he tells him, bring me Edmur, Tully. So he kind of is protecting the Tully family, and then he goes to talk to Blackfish. He's got a lot to do. Jaime's an important character, man. I really love this character.
Yes. But they, like, a lot of people forgot that we didn't see Edmure since season 3, episode 9.
Yeah, well, he's in
Blackfish, yeah.
They mentioned he's coming back, though, didn't they? Seems to me.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but they will have to go, rewind, like from the previous seasons, whatever, because people will be like, who the fuck is this character? Oh God.
Are we moving on to the Riverlands now, or have we got anything else for King's Landing?
We just did the Riverlands.
We're doing, both Riverland and King's Landing.
Let's take a vote on Lady Stoneheart.
Agreed. How about you put up your hands? Who says Lady Stoneheart makes an appearance, in the TV show, either this season or next season or ever?
Where's
LaDonna?
James? James, definitely.
Wishful thinking.
Your frames are frozen for some reason, so I can't really tell. Claire,
Really?
Yes.
Claire thinks so. MP thinks so. I'm assuming James says yes, right?
Yeah, James always.
Nico
LaDonna.
and Tony, did you guys say yes or no?
I say yes, Tony.
Okay, I'm with Tony on that. I say no. Wow, most of you think Lady Stoneheart's coming back. I'm impressed.
I don't think that they recast Michelle Fairley as Lady Stark for no reason. There was another person who was in that role for the pilot. They got rid of her. And then they saw her playing, I believe, Lady Macbeth, or some significant Shakespearean part. And I think they cast her because she can be horrible. And I think they'll bring her back.
This says so much about the story.
We gotta see Beric die. Beric was brought in for a big reason. He's gonna give the last.
Good point.
Yes. Why put Beric and Thoros in here if you not put Lady Stoneheart? I don't know.
There's many other reasons there, but yeah, go ahead.
I've got a couple of questions to ask everybody about the Riverlands. just general questions about next season. Do you think that so the first one is, do you think that Sansa will be in a better or worse position next season? And
I think she's not. Go ahead.
Yeah. And secondly, who do you think it is that runs into the Hound and the Elder Brother, etc., at the Quiet Isle? Because obviously that's happening. Ian McShane has kind of spilled the beans on that. So who do you think? I mean, in the books it's Brienne, obviously. Do you still think it's going to be Brienne? Do you think it's going to be somebody different?
Can I preface your first question in a different way?
Yeah.
Are the Boltons going to lose the battle at Winterfell or not? Because that's where we have to look at where Sansa goes.
Yeah.
If she's got Winterfell, she's going to stay there. So I'm saying the Boltons win this one.
Really?
And I think Sansa has to go on the run.
Because I remember reading an interview with Sophie Turner, who plays Sansa Stark, and she mentioned that this is a big turning point for her character this season, and she'll be seeing a lot of positive things. It seems that she was implying that anyway this time around for Sansa.
But they can't just leave her in Winterfell. I mean, Martin's got 2 huge books left, you guys. They're not going to leave her in Winterfell. That's not the whole thing up.
No, of course, but there's other things happening. There's the White Walkers coming. Don't forget about them.
I know.
Events at the Wall.
I know, but I just think that she has to go somewhere else to. I think Brianna's taken her to Quiet Isle, and she's going to regroup there, and that's where she'll run into the Hound. But I think she's going to use that to regroup and figure out her own battle plan, and that is an empowered Sansa.
But you forgot the key player in the whole Sansa-Brienne story. You have Littlefinger. And Brienne is everything, but she's also pretty dumb. You know,
Well,
she's
Brienne-
not a player.
Brienne will take her there. She swore an oath to Catelyn she's not going to break. She's going to take that girl and protect her this time. And that's why they had the Hound run between them. They're both protecting Stark girls. That's my opinion. It could go a lot of ways, but I just don't think Sansa's staying at Winterfell. Not right now. It's too early.
Yeah,
I
for
don't
me,
think she's going
Sansa
to get
will never.
assaulted again. I don't think anybody's going to rape her again.
Well,
Can I
If
just say
Sansa-
that I always say
Go
that
ahead.
Sansa is gonna end up being the queen of Casterly Rock, not Winterfell. Winterfell is where it comes. The end. That's it.
I think
You cannot
Winterfell's
have.
Sansa, but I respect what you're saying. That was one of my original thoughts too. Yeah,
No, I don't see her in the north. She.
I think she's queen.
Well,
I think
yeah, I tend to agree with Nico on that, but I do think Sansa does have to act at least as a regent in some respect while Rickon is still young. Whether or not she ends up at Casterly Rock is an entirely different thing.
Well, you know, it would be cool if she went to Casterly Rock for one of 2 reasons. Either she ends up with Tyrion, who always wanted it, she's still married to him, or she ends up, if Tyrion either says, I know you don't love me, go ahead and do what you want, or Tyrion dies, and she ends up at Casterly Rock anyway, because that's right near where the Clegane's home was.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it works, but I'm still torn on whether she's going back to Winterfell to rule or not.
Yeah, to me, the perfect scenario that actually can happen in George's world is that she will be in Casterly Rock by herself, married to Tyrion. Tyrion is the advisor to whoever sits the Iron Throne of ruling the King's Westeros, and she has the relationship with the Hound.
Candace Moore, MOIR, in the comments said, "Where do whores go? Where the money is." I thought that was really smart. She said Casterly Rock, but that's what she was getting at. Where do whores go? Where the money is, and I think that's really fucking smart.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with Sansa. That was just Casterly Rock came up.
Yeah, but she's gradually gonna learn to play a game. That's why I really liked. In the end, if you look back now, they should not have Sansa immediately like, "Oh, I'm the best player in the world. Here comes the player." It's not like that. It doesn't work. So.
Well, it'll be interesting in the books if Tyrion takes his whore at Happy Port, and his maybe daughter, and takes him back to Casterly Rock because the whores go where the money is. which is interesting because they don't have any more money. The
True.
mines are dry.
And
Especially.
you said you didn't think Sansa's going to get raped again, and I agree with you, but it's Arya's turn. I know that sounds fucked up, but it's going to happen in my opinion, by Roose in my opinion. Just needed to say that.
Well, you know, she's really escaped physical injury for the most part. It's all been psychological, so I hope that doesn't happen. I think the writers are going to get a lot of backlash if they keep beating up women, although I know it's part of the story.
Everybody gets beaten up.
I know. I'm not being a feminazi. I'm just saying.
And a guy almost got raped. Theon almost got raped in the show.
That's true.
What'd you think, Tony?
Arya already got raped in the play within Zembara, so I don't think she's going to get raped. I think that's a rape. If there's going to be any, I think it would be that.
I think that was a foreshadowing for it. Are you ready for your rape?
And by the way, you guys, as a theater major, I can't wait to see that play they're going to put on. They got the girl who was in the star of the Babadook playing Cersei.
That was a good movie.
Yes, it was.
Surprised you know that one.
Oh, I love that movie.
It was a perfect, wonderful metaphor movie. It's called The Babadook.
Check it out,
it's a horror movie, good movie. I got some bad reviews from certain people, but I thought it was deep and meaningful and poignant. The idea that you got to hide your demons, feed them, but they're never going to go away. We kind of mentioned Bravos, so I know there's some King's Landing going on, but if everybody's good, I got some comments on Bravos.
James, before we move on, if I could just request a small intermission on our travelogue of Planetos and just focus just for a short while on a couple of characters that are in transit, so it's difficult to put them in a location. So, I haven't heard too many people talk about them, but Sam and Gilly. So if I could just ask where people feel Sam and Gilly are going to be going next season. I know that we haven't had anything in the trailer, but there's been a couple of stills where it looks like they're on a ship, possibly. And also, just to say that in the comments, Moji Osman said that they thought that possibly Sam and Gilly might be the people that run into the Hound on the Quiet Isle. So, what does everybody? Just sorry to interrupt, but just throwing it out there, what everybody thinks about Sam and Gilly for next season.
I'll start if that's cool. So real quick, we know that they're on a boat. It looks like Sam's getting seasick in the picture they released. They've already fucked, so we know that that's taken care of. We really don't need much on the boat. It's just a matter of where they end up. We know that Sam's dad, mother, sister, and brother have been cast, and they've also picked a castle for it. So we know that he's going to see his parents. Generally the same storyline, in my opinion, that he's going there to basically say, I need y'all to take care of Gilly. His dad's going to be like, why the fuck should we help you? Why the fuck are you back here? You should be at the wall. Well, actually, they're sending me to Citadel. Of course they send you to Citadel, you fucking pussy. And he's not going to say it like that, but he's going to be mean about it. And ultimately we'll end up with Gilly being left there and Sam going to the Citadel. It doesn't look to me like we got a big castle or anything selected as the Citadel, so that may be next season for Sam. It's certainly where he's going to learn a bunch of shit, and next season is supposed to be the next to last season, and that'd be about the right time for him to learn a lot of shit and move on. We haven't got a lot of mention of Morrowind. We might get him cast, which would be great, but that's not this season. That would be next season. So yeah, that's what I think Sam's arc is. I don't think we're getting a whole lot from Sam this season.
I would agree with you in almost every respect, James, except for this. I think that the timeline is going to coincide with the Tyrells bringing Randall in, because he is the military leader for the Tyrells. They're like peas and carrots. So he'll be gone from Horn Hill, which is Sam's home. Sam and Gilly are going to go there, and it's just going to be Sam's mom and his two siblings. Sam's mother loves him. She gave him that little thimble to remember her by. Sam's going to tell her that baby is his child, and she is not going to let Randall Tarley throw them out. So he's dropping Gilly and the kid there, and then he's going to go on to the Citadel. And I'm pretty sure, who knows, I'm not always right, I know that it makes sense. I don't think Randall will be there. I think it's more important for Sam to meet him after he becomes a Maester. He has proved himself. Then they'll have their confrontation where Sam can tell him to go fuck himself.
I tend to agree with LaDonna on that one. If we're talking about characters who are still in transit, we also should talk about Gendry then.
Gendry is going to reforge ice, and he is also Robert and Cersei's kid. He is the child shooting away, that bastard.
He's got to forge a sword, right?
He's going to reforge that sword.
I get the impression he's going to fill in for the Fagon character, actually.
I don't think so, but I respect.
Don't think so?
Yeah. Fagon's out, I think.
But fill in for his role as in be another claimant to the Iron Throne, at least in terms of certain factions of...
So you think someone's intercepted him and now he's being told who he is?
Yeah, I think Littlefinger did that when he told Cersei, I've got another boy for you. I don't think he meant...
Very good point. That's awesome.
Yeah. LaDonna basically, spoke my thoughts on that. There's also the aspect that you could have, if the Sand Snakes or if anyone from Dorne is involved, that could play a role in that whole thing. But again, they might not do it for the show because it's a little too intense, I guess, or a little too complex, potentially. Other than that, I don't have any other thoughts in terms of those few characters.
I agree with who it was Claire, and I love you for this, because I have problems with understanding who's gonna find Septa Merivale or what's the elder guy with the Hound, because the Riverlands shit that's happening, it's more to the western parts, and the Isle is right to the east, so somebody needs to go through there. It might be Brienne, but I love the Sam idea. I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but
I don't think so, because Sam runs into Arya at the Citadel. They cross paths there.
Because he went to Bravos.
Yeah, but at some point in the books, now I don't think they can do it in the show because of what they've done, but Arya and Sam actually cross paths. Him going there and Arya going to the Bravos. I don't know how it's going to happen.
I think you're right. I think it happens in Midtown. Arya takes the place of the Faceless Man.
Sam's story seems to be intrinsically linked with Stark children and running into Stark children.
True.
Particularly in the books, with Arya in Bravos and Bran at the Wall and Jon obviously at the Wall. And in the TV show, he was kind of like ships that passed in the night with Sansa. No, sorry. I'm thinking of something. I'm thinking of Brienne and Pod. They sort of almost saw Sansa last season. Yeah.
That's right. They did. And also, remember, Oberyn does not have another child named Sarilla in the show. So it'll be curious to see if maybe Arya, as a faceless man, takes the combined role there. I don't know. Go ahead.
But he mentioned that.
Sorry, in terms of Sarilla, it goes back again to last season when there was a discussion with Ilaria Sand and I believe Oberyn, but it sounds like they're actually more than just the 3 Sand Snakes that we've seen in the show so far, from what I recall.
It was mentioned.
So there might be a Sarilla. Yeah. Might be.
Tony, what do you think about Sam and Gilly?
I think James really said it. I really don't have much to add on that point. There's really not much going on there. I just think that they're going to go see his father, and whether his father, I think his father would be there. I think they would have that little confrontation, because I don't think that his father would respect him if he became a maester as a servant role. And I don't see his father respecting that role. Like, oh, Dad, I'm a maester. He's going to be like, proud of you. I'd say, you're a servant. Yeah, he's not going to be proud of that at all. So I think he probably would see him then.
Tony, what do you think is going to happen to Jaime, Tony?
Lannister?
Yeah.
I think he's going to go to Riverlands. I think his part is played out just like the books. He'll go out there on the Riverland and do all that. But in the end, I think he's got to come back and fight Sir Robert Strong.
Do you think he'll die at the end?
I hope so. I hope so. I hope he dies. I think the whole House Lannister dies. Maybe Tyrion survived, but I think they all if Tyrion is House Lannister, Tyrion may get burnt this season going to free the dragon. So who knows? You know what I mean? But I think all of House Lannister dies in the end.
Well, even if Tyrion is, and I don't agree with this, but even if Tyrion is not Tywin's son, Joanna Lannister was a Joanna Lannister before she married Tywin Lannister because she was a cousin named Lannister. So either way, he's got Lannister blood.
He's got, but he may get burnt. I was saying he may, if he's gonna free the dragons, he may get burnt, and maybe the fire don't burn him, and maybe that's how you find out he's got something to do with out there.
Yeah, but
That would
Targaryen's
be
burnt all the time. I mean, Aemon got burnt up. Everybody gets burnt up. Dany's the anomaly. Jon even.
In the show, I think that's what they're using the show. In the show, I understand in the book that's the truth, but in the show, I think they're using that. I think that's why they have Dany touch that razor, and the thing you see that she touches it again.
Yeah, but Jon got burnt. Jon got burnt.
Yeah, Jon did get burnt.
But she's just more. She can just handle heat better. Like I can touch hot things better than my husband. My husband's like, oh, and I can actually hold it. So it's just.
And Ned can
Tony-
stomach the cold better.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. Did you all notice that in that last scene when, it wasn't the last one, when Theon goes in to give Sansa her breakfast and she's lying in bed kind of out of it, did you see that he went over and closed that window? Which is exactly what happened with Ned, that Catelyn used to complain that Ned would leave the window wide open in the winter. And Sansa did too. I just wonder, man, how close are these Starks to these others? I mean,
Very.
they really handle some damn cold. This family can.
Yeah.
All right, let's get
Can I
back on
just-
track. Are we?
Yes,
Where
can I just
are we
ask
in
one
this?
more?
Where
one
are
more
we
question.
geographically?
Please, one
Hold
more
on.
question.
You go last
Tony.
question. Go ahead. Yeah.
Tony,
Me?
who is gonna discover the Hound?
I have no idea who's going to discover him. I just know that he'll be around for a while after he does get discovered, because Ian McShane said that I bring someone back. So Ian McShane will go away, and the Hound will still be around. So the fact that he said he's bringing someone back, it's not just coming back to leave. He'll be back for a little while, but discover him, they can play it any number of ways, so it's impossible to really.
And may I say one thing, girls? Are you ready? Let's howl. Howl!
All right.
There was a
James,
mention of
you-
Bravo. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I know you want to get to Bravo. I have just a couple things.
Yeah.
Is Doran going to be in next season or no?
Is Doran?
Dorne, D-O-R-N-E.
Dorn, yes, because we need to. I don't know, but to me, Jamie can't leave without returning. In my opinion, I could be wrong, because he can't show up with Doran's kid. I could be wrong. For all I know, he's put in the cells immediately. That said, we need to see Doran react to what. What's her name? The girl that was with Oberyn?
Ilaria.
Ilaria. We need to see what he does. He's going to behead her. He warned her in the end of last season. He's going to behead her, and that's going to show the Sand Snakes. And he might even reveal kind of what he was trying to do, which will make the Sand Snakes realize there's a deeper game here. It's not just about fighting the battle right in front of you, and also see somebody they care about and they agreed with get killed by somebody else they respect, sort of. So will we get Doran next season? I think we have to, because that has to happen. But I think we'll get him front end and get an implication that they're still in the game, and that we won't get any more of them.
Question: Chris Tane King's Landing, or is he going back to Dorne? They had to turn the ship around for Dorne to know.
They could have sent her a messenger raven too, couldn't they? Technically.
I think Jamie would think it was too dangerous at that point to take Tristan to King's Landing. I think he went back and dropped him off.
Sorry, I only brought up. Sorry, go ahead.
No, Charlie, go ahead.
I only meant to bring.
All right, looks like we lost him for a split second. He'll be back in just a second. Charlie, if you can hear us, we can't hear you. All right, we'll get back to what he was saying about Dorne. Just in general, I just want to get each of your opinions about Dorne real quick. Tony, if you'll go.
I hate Dorne, so it's
For
not
season
a lot.
6.
Not a lot to say. I hate Dorne regardless. I hate it in the books. I've never liked Dorne, the whole situation, anything going on there. I think Dorne Martell's a fool, and this master plan is stupid. But I do think that he will behead this chick, and I do think that he will inform everyone else about whatever his plan is going to be. Tristan, I think, will take the seat on the small council. It's got to be a reason for him to be there. There's a reason when they do these things, they put these people there in these positions. There's a reason why he's there. So something's going to happen on that council or a meeting or something that we don't know about that hasn't happened yet. So
I love the idea.
Sorry.
I love the idea of him ending up on the small council. That's a brilliant idea, and it was foreshadowed by Oberyn, and we get to see, arguably it would be Tommen that put him there. If Tommen saw that his granddad put Oberyn on as a sign of peace, it would be a good opportunity for Tommen to show the same kind of respect. Nico, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, the same.
Okay, Clare Gray and Maester Payne?
I don't think we'll see. I'll be very surprised if we have any scenes in Dawn whatsoever in the next season. I think I think it's not in the budget, and we're going to be focusing on the Ironborn this season instead.
I think you're probably right about the Ironborn being a bigger focus. Maester Payne?
I agree with what everybody said so far. I think Tristan does sit on the small council. I think he arrives intact. I think you thought he was going to die, though, at one point, did you not?
I thought he was in a dodgy situation, given that, his people have just poisoned Jaime's daughter, and they're in a confined space.
Who he loves.
Yeah.
At least he feels he does.
I don't think he's on the boat just to arrive in King's Landing and be killed off. He has a purpose to play, and I think it's...
And wouldn't it be great if Cersei was like, we're going to kill that fucking kid, and Jaime was like, no, we're not going to kill that fucking kid.
There's too many reasons for Cersei and Jaime to fall out.
I'm changing my mind to y'all. He does sit on the council, but I disagree with Claire. Doran, we got to see him have Arya Hotep chop her damn head off. Because we saw the foreshadowing with the sword.
Brilliant job, Tony, with that comment about being on the council. Mom, finish that up.
Yeah, but I agree with you, Tony. I'm changing my mind. It gives more of a conflict between Jaime and Cersei. So, yes, you're right.
All right. What do you think about Dorne, Charlie? About season 6 and
sorry,
Dorne?
I got disconnected. Yeah, I guess you took the reins on that. It sounds like you guys already mentioned something I was going to bring up, the idea that Tristan should be on the council at King's Landing.
Tony mentioned it. It never crossed my mind.
Well, because they have one of the Sand Snakes in the book supposedly going there, so it would make sense if he's on the boat to join the council. But irrespective of that, I think I heard Claire mention that she doesn't think Dorne will play a big role. I tend to agree with her on that. I think it's going to focus more on the Iron Islands this time around. And I only brought up Dorne. What I was going to say is I only brought up Dorne because I know you wanted to talk about Braavos, but I figured we should just talk about that quickly since it's still in Westeros. So I had no other thoughts on that.
All right, in that matter, since we're going to do Dorne, you just say Braavos?
Yeah, Braavos and then Slaver's Bay / Dothraki Sea.
If anybody thinks we're getting anything about the Tyrells, excuse me, I'm sorry. If anybody thinks we're getting anything about the Tyrells in their home state, let us know. I don't think so, but if you do, and we lost Charlie again, if you do, bring that up here. But as far as Braavos goes, I did want to say one thing I forgot. The High Sparrow. Do we know the High Sparrow's birth name? Because that's really interesting if we don't. He's a different kind of faceless man. But about Braavos. It dawned on me about Braavos that I think we've talked, why is Braavos in the end game? And I've talked, and I'm sure we all have, about the fact that if Westeros goes down, that's the majority of the economy for the Iron Bank. The Iron Bank thrives off the economy of Westeros, in addition to Essos, but particularly Westeros. And that's kind of why America got involved in World War II, because we were having oil issues, and then Pearl Harbor got bombed, which is one of our main import areas, and we felt like we had to get involved mainly economically. And then when Pearl Harbor got bombed, that was like the crux of this. That was the linchpin. But it's not just that, and I realized it, and I could be wrong, but Braavos is also, when Braavos learns that the death of Westeros means that desire and death will end, with it goes not only the economy that feeds the Iron Bank, but also the death that feeds the faceless men. Everybody, one way or another, everyone gets the gift. One way or another, everyone joins the whole. Well, not the faceless man. Not if you join the other side. If the other side wins, then there are no more faceless men. As far as that goes, we're getting the awesome play. I can't fucking wait for that. It's going to be fantastic. It's one of the best scenes, and if you haven't read it, it's in Arya's release chapter for the Winds of Winter. It's fantastic. We don't really get to see a whole lot of it. We get to see bits and pieces and hear bits and pieces, and there's some dialogue we hear outside of it behind the scenes in the backstage area, but because it's a different situation, and I don't want to spoil for you. So, if you haven't read it, go read it. But that's going to be incredible. They've cast some amazing actors and actresses, and the idea of having a story within a story, it's Pyramus and Thisbe in Midsummer Night's Dream, the play within a play. And you get it in Pyramus and Thisbe, Hamlet. The whole point of Hamlet is in order to see if his mom and his dad's brother, his uncle, are lying about whether they killed his dad, he puts on a play because supposedly the cathartic moment will affect you differently if you feel guilty for the situation. That's how he finds out they're guilty, or I think he doesn't find out they're guilty. They leave or something. I can't remember. So we're having some trouble with Charlie. I'm sorry about that. So we're getting the play, and that's going to be fantastic. Obviously, Arya's blind. I think we're getting Arya warging this season, which is the linchpin to us finding all the other people that are warging. And the reason I say that is because she's obviously getting beaten this season, which means we've got the waif still there, which to me means that it's her perfect opportunity to challenge it. And she's running through the top. It looks like she's running from the waif. I don't know that, but if
Can I
she
just
ultimately
say something there, James? Have you seen the still picture of Arya from next season where she's kind of stood with a wooden staff and she's kind of defending herself? She looks like she's in a street. Yeah, I think what I'm thinking is that the waif beating that basically that picture of Arya to me looked like the ugly little girl chapters from look that's the character that she looks like. I'm not saying that she looks ugly or anything, but she looks desperate in that picture, in that still with the stick. She just looks like she's a bit of a mess. And I'm just wondering whether or not the waif the beatings from the waif is creating, in a way, if I'm making sense, but it's creating the ugly little girl. And so we get that element of Arya's character in next season, but we also get Mercy because we know that we've seen the actors who play the Mercy characters in the play. But I think that's what the waif is doing. She's beaten a black and blue, and she becomes the ugly little girl because of what's happening to her.
Well, we also got part of the Mercy chapter already in last season because of what happened with whatever the hell the pedophile's name is. The interesting thing you made me think of was that it's possible that she's blind. She's playing a blind beggar, it seems like, in the streets. If somebody's coming by every day and beating her, that makes sense for her to take the stick. But to me, it's the induction into her warging because it's the thing that requires her to fight back. She's searching to hear when that motherfucker's coming up those steps, and she's searching for any kind of inkling she can get. What do you think, Tony?
I think that Arya. I think that the whole thing with Arya, when she goes down, I think that she definitely will be warging, and I think that when she goes to the Mercy part, I think that she's gonna be hiding out because they said from getting chased away instead of them sending her there. I think she'll be hiding out, and she'll be hiding out in the play, trying to get away from them. And then she'll run into, while she's at the play, she'll run into the Charlie there, who'll be not Charlie, Tyrell will be there at the play, and then I think that's how she'll get back to Westeros on his.
Are you suggesting that Arya will kill the Tyrell?
No, I don't think she's going to kill him at all. I don't think he dies yet, but I think that she'll get back on his boat. That he'll find out what's going on with his daughter, and then he'll rush back, and I think that's how she gets back to posing as some person on the boat, and that's how she get back to us.
Oh, Tony, I think that is brilliant. That is brilliant. I love that.
Love it. And that is, if she's running in the season, that could happen too. You interrupted him. I could have called you out on it, but go ahead, Mama.
I saw several stills of Arya filming that scene where she's leaping out of the window away from the waif, I think. And she is actually harnessed so that she, and I think it was a stunt double. But I think that she finally gets to the point in the House of Black and White where they can't beat the Arya out of her. And she can't really be a faceless man. She is a Stark. She wants to go home. And so she wants vengeance, but she doesn't really want to be a faceless man. She doesn't want to exact vengeance on, I won't even say vengeance. She doesn't want to exact death like the faceless men do. She wanted vengeance against a few people. They want her to be a nameless, soulless assassin. That is not Arya. Home is where the heart is. And all those things she says about Needle reminding her of Snowfall and Snowballs and Jon and Sansa and Rickon, you know, all that evoked home. She's going home. And when she realizes that the waif means business, that'll probably kill her if she doesn't become the assassin they want. She is out of there. And combined with what Tony just said about meeting up Mace Tyrell while he's watching the play and getting on the boat, I think that's brilliant. I love that, Tony. But she is out of there. And the fact that she's gone blind and has been beaten and has to learn her senses, her smell, her hearing, everything when she's blind, has heightened her ability to warg. In the books, we get a scene where somebody is watching people below them conversing in the House of Black and White, and we're getting it from the perspective of a cat on a rafter. That is Arya warging that cat and seeing what's going on because she can't, because she's blind. In other words, just like Bran, a traumatic event has forced her into her higher senses, and that's where she gets forced into learning warging the way it should be learned. And she's out of there. She's on that fucking boat, Tony, and she is off to Westeros.
To add one thing that you said, if she fights back with the waif, because of what she's already learned last season, and she doesn't really because of what she's learned last season, the effect of the waif beating her is different, because it's not the waif beating her, it's the faceless man beating her. Because earlier we saw the waif change into Jaqen. It's all the same person. So if the waif's beating her, that means just the faceless men beating her. And yeah, it's to learn a lesson. But ultimately, she realizes that she's just being treated like shit in order to learn lessons. And maybe if she feels like she's learned enough, fuck y'all, I'm out. If she does leave, and I think that what you said, Tony, about getting on that boat is fucking brilliant, because she knows it's going to Westeros, she knows the people on it, but she still has to fake who she is. She's going to have to steal faces. I'm not saying that can happen. It could just be something where she opens up a bag and she's got a bunch of them. But she's going to have to steal some faces if she's going to be out for herself.
Or they'll send her to the theater in a face and she divest herself of it. But, you know, this goes back to your concept, James, that you posited a long time ago, which I think is brilliant, which is this is a story about free will and being an individual versus being part of a collective. She can't be part of that collective. She is going to exercise her free will to go home.
You know what I just realized, too? In the Broken Man speech, it talks about that eventually you see somebody who's got a better sword than you, and a dead person who's got a better sword than you, so you steal it. Next thing you know, you're stealing from the living, and before you know it, you're raping the townsfolk. So it's a progression. Well, Arya if she doesn't steal any faces, she knows how to make them. And that was taken from the dead. It wouldn't be too difficult to think that if she needs a face in Westeros, that she might kill somebody to take it. A rape of their life. Something to think about.
I don't know if she knows how to make them. I think that might take some magical skills.
That's what she's been doing. I mean, they embalm the bodies in order to take their skins.
Okay, look, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I don't know. But she's
Can I just throw in here?
Hold on.
We're talking about warg. I think there will be a much bigger feature around warging next season, definitely. And I can't help thinking that this might be an area where You know, we know that the show is going to be on a diversion from the books next season. Even the show producers have said themselves that there's going to be, you know, you will be able to enjoy the TV show and enjoy the books separately, and you'll still get surprises and things in the books. I think that this is one of the areas that it's going to be quite different in the TV show, like it was with Stannis, and that they're going to feature warging, and that there's going to be some. That there might be, I don't agree that this is necessarily should happen, but I think that the TV show is going to have some kind of Stark children coming together and meeting up somewhere, somehow, because I think that I'm just thinking from this next season, yeah, because I think TV show watchers are going to really want to see, you know, if you think about people who don't read the books and are just watching the TV show, it's kind of like, come on. When are we going to get a break for these Stark kids? When are they going to be able to? And the feeling is, I suppose as book readers as well, that you kind of want them to see each other again and meet up and have this kind of wolf pack mentality, and that the Stark kids are going to prevail. And I'm just wondering if that's going to be in next season, and if it is, how is it going to happen, bearing in mind that we possibly have Rickon featuring next season. And we've seen those pictures. There's those pictures online of the actor who's played Rickon going out for dinner with the actress who plays Osha. Yeah. So I'm just wondering what you think about that.
I don't think so, and I think that it's an important tease that we don't get that together. I think if Sansa sees Jon Snow as not really Jon Snow yet, like he hasn't quite reintegrated with Ghost. It'll be close, but no cigar. I think it's important that it's a tease.
I think we'll get an interaction between, or a knowledge that they're all familiar with their animals. We'll get Arya and the cat. We'll get Jon and Ghost somehow. Bran just automatically, we already know him. So the viewer will get the perspective that, oh shit, they can all do it. So I don't think it's that far of a stretch to give hope to the viewer that one day they will unite somehow through this shared ability.
I think it's time they bring the wolves in to be able to get their perspective. You know, we've seen them, the wolves running through the forest, and we kind of understand that the human beings are in them. Now that they have gotten an audience that can accept that level of magic in this pretty gritty, realistic show, now I think they can do it and they won't lose viewers because they're invested. It makes sense. None of this defies logic. If you're buying into some fantasy, it doesn't defy logic now. Everybody will buy in, and the wolves can communicate, and perhaps Bran's visions will help us in that quest.
I agree with Tony. That was really brilliant. I love you, Tony. And everybody loves you.
I love you too.
One thing I think we're really going to get is Nymeria. That's the wolf we're getting back this season. Not James's Shepherd, but the real Nymeria.
Yeah, and they hinted last season, remember, and Arya was selling the seashells or whatever, the cat that passed by. And I guess that what LaDonna said about they cannot get the Stark. You know, you can get the Starks out of winter from the North, but you cannot get the North out of the Starks. That's the main point.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And also, it also dawned on me, folks, and I was thinking about these mottos. You know, the North remembers means to us, usually, that they remember both their loyalty to each other, but also that they have to face really difficult winters, maybe to the point that really something bad is coming. In other words, their total devastation. But I also think it means the weirwoods. The North is where the weirwoods are, and the weirwoods are the library repository of all the history of Westeros. And I don't just mean the North. I mean, they were all over this continent for a while until the Andals cut it down. So I think it means that learn your history, folks, so we don't repeat this horrible situation again.
That also connects to the Heart and Mind video I did with the the North Remembers the Brain. I don't know if y'all know, but they released a 6-minute video of a clip from the next season. Gendry's back, and it's 6 minutes of him rowing. I did want to, Charlie, what do you want? I need you to comment because you've been in and out for a little bit. Talk to us about
just a little bit.
Bravos.
Bravos. Honestly, Arya's scenes are the ones I have the least amount of thoughts on. I tend to kind of just enjoy hearing what you folks think. I think the big theme I can think of for her is that, and it sort of touches on Dany as well and a few other characters when you think about it, is that this is the season at least by the end of the season is when a lot of characters are finally going back either home or back to Westeros. Everything's kind of happening in Westeros. So I think a few of you mentioned that you think Arya is going back this season. I tend to agree with you. I think at the ending is her departure from Bravos, just like I think it's Dany's departure from Marine, Slater's Bay at the end of this season as well. I don't think they get to Westeros necessarily. I think they just leave. It's like that point where they're heading back to where the action is. That's really only my thoughts are on Arya. I think everything else is more or less mimicking the books. I think she's going to eventually get her sight back. She'll become a stronger, faceless man or woman. They're going to have the rest. She's going to wrestle with keeping her own identity, her consciousness. I assume anyway. Maybe I'm wrong to think that, but I think her Stark identity will prevail in the end, and that of course will play a role in her going back to Westeros. But that's really my thoughts for Arya and Bravos.
May I address the Entertainment Weekly magazine shoot, please, before I forget it?
Go for it.
This was brought up to me by someone else, so I'm not taking credit for it. I can't remember who it was, but if you look at the pictures of the 6, it's a double panel of 3 Starkian women: Brienne, Sansa, and Arya, and then it has Marjorie, Cersei, and I don't remember who the other one is.
Dany.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. Dany. Thank you very much. Did you see what Sansa's wearing? It's in every single picture.
How old is the actress right now?
Sansa's actress is at least 18 now.
I think
she's fucking gorgeous in that photo.
I love how you waited
There's
to ask
2
about her
photos.
age.
One she's sitting in a chair.
Backwards.
And it looks quite nice. And in another one, she's facing the camera directly, and she looks looking very supple.
She's 20. Sorry.
Good. You feel better.
Okay. I want to say this is real. I think it's a really important point. Nick, are you looking at it?
Yeah.
What do you see? You tell me. You tell the viewers what you see. Something really important.
I don't know. I only have this front viewing.
There's a chain that's hanging from her lapel down, and her hand is on the end of that chain. What is it?
It's like a spike or a nail.
It's not
or something.
a spike.
I'm going to share it here in the chat for us.
Do it.
So,
you know what it is?
So, guys, James, Charlie, can you?
Do you want us to share it?
Yeah,
I think James has to do that.
James.
It's in every single picture. I'm telling you, it's super important.
It looks like a nail or something.
Close. Real close.
Corkscrew?
Nope. What did Arya say to Jon when he handed her the sword?
The needle?
Sansa can keep
There we go. James has
needles. I have a needle of my own. It's in every single picture. You can see it hanging between her and in the other. And look at Sansa in this picture. That is not a ladylike position. That girl
looks hot.
No,
I've had many ladies in that position.
My point is she's shedding her lady.
Tony.
Tony's so cool. I love Tony. In the other one, she's actually holding that needle. Now, the needle was a sign of her fairy tale domestication, that she was raised to be a, quote, princess. But I think it symbolizes her taking control, and it's almost a metaphor for a weapon of domestication that she is going to use. I don't think that needle's going to stab somebody in the carotid, maybe, but I think it's showing that she's willing to pick up a weapon this time.
I don't know if you folks have other thoughts on Bravos, but if not, we can move on to the last general region of the Dothraki Sea/Marine. I don't know what you folks think.
Yeah.
Alrighty. James, do you want to introduce that whole area with Dany's arc, potentially?
Do what? Introduce what? Sorry.
Still looking for that.
Do you want to talk about Dany's
James is
storyline
looking
in
for a
Marine?
needle in a haystack. There you go. Look at that. Look at that picture. Every single one of them except the one that she's backwards in that chair. She's holding that thing. James is looking for a needle in a haystack.
That looks like a 9-inch nail.
Well, with stacks
Yeah,
like that, you could look for a while. All right, so I'm done with that. All right, so we've got the Dany situation. There's two things. Am I correct in saying the only thing we have left is Dany and Marine?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna do Dany first. Is that right? So Dany.
Phrasing.
It seems entirely apparent. First of all, isn't it cool that we're finally getting the golden statues leading into Vast Dothrak? We didn't get that in the original television show.
We did. We've seen them twice, and I posted them to you. Those things
Nope.
were shown twice.
You haven't.
Season.
Show it to me, because we've never seen them, Mom. We saw them in the... Shush, please, for just a second. We saw them in the opening, in my opinion. We saw them in the opening because it would come down and show the things, but that's in the opening. In my opinion, we've never seen the statues leading into Vast Dothrak, ever. If you show it to me while I'm talking, find it.
I will say, I think they have the budget now for those statues, even if they were...
But she's
saw
obviously
them
gotten
twice.
captured.
Twice we've seen them before.
Okay, Mama. She's obviously gotten captured by the Dothraki. It's apparent that Jorah and what the fuck is his name?
Dario
are going to find her. They find the ring, so it turns out that is what was on. It's a Hansel and Gretel situation. So they're obviously trying to find her. We also see that she is she's being treated as if she were amongst the others. Now, she obviously is different, and I think ultimately she's going to have to join the older women, the
Dosh-Khaleen.
The Dosh-Khaleen. But those are a lot of people being brought along. That's a lot of people to be brought between those mountains. That said, the scene we get of Drogon, is on top of those people, flying over, and it looks like encampments. All these different little encampments. You having problems finding it, Mama?
No, I found it, you son of a gun, and I'm going to post it right now.
Show us, LaDonna.
Camera.
Hold on, I got to send it to James. Hold on. If you all will go to Game of Thrones season.
Oh my God! No! Just send this to
okay.
me on fucking Facebook.
I'm going to.
Okay, type this in, guys. W.
No.
Okay.
One at a time.
All right. So
I think
Drogon is apparently coming over the people of Vast Dothrak, and to me, that's not the people that were walking in the previous scene. It looks to me like little huts. It looks like it's actually flying over, and we actually get a picture of Drogon in the distance with the sun kind of behind him in the new trailer, while we get that comment about
Shut up, Bodie.
all the joy. That's
Stop.
my hard dog. One way or another, we're all going to become part of the whole. So, and that's also a play on the word HOLE. But that's Drogon, in my opinion, coming to save Dany, and Dany is going to leave. At the end of this season, Drogon's going to burn the people that have been trying to ostracize Dany. Dany's getting on the dragon, and she's flying away. I don't think if we get any more of Dany this season, it will be her on the back of Drogon, not being able to control him, not knowing where she is, being really fucking thirsty, and feeling like she's about to fall the fuck off and pass out. Passes out, wakes up, and she's in fucking Westeros.
See, I don't think that's going to happen. Partially yes, partially no.
What do you think, Charlie?
Do you want me to go first?
Oh, wait. Real quick, let me do the picture. Mom, did you send it to me?
I put it on Facebook.
Go on.
Okay,
Go in the
that's not the same thing. Mom, you have got to quit
James.
sending me fucking
James.
pictures that are tinier than my nipples.
Wait a minute,
Jesus.
James.
James.
I know how to share it now.
Yeah, no, I can do it for you. No one can see it anyway.
I put it, folks. I put it in the chat. Look at
Yeah,
the chat.
make it
Our
big.
group chat.
You can barely tell the
Okay,
horses.
That's season 1 episode. That's season 1 episode 4, and there's another one. Hold on. And then there's.
No, Tony's
That's
showing us the
season-
real ones, the ones that are in the
That's the current one.
in this season.
I'm not doing it.
Then you see it from a distance in the next one I sent you, James.
I don't see another one.
So there's another one.
Where'd you send it to me? I'm looking at the Facebook.
Be patient, my son.
Time's up.
I will say though, if that's in season 1, it does not look as impressive as the one we have for season 6.
Or maybe they have many
Well,
Close.
Doshkalin to the.
Anyway, yeah, if I can talk about
All right, I'm willing
my own
to
thoughts while you
concede the
guys
point
are-
that there were in the previous seasons, but my point still stands that we're actually going to get to see the epic ones that look like they were stolen. There's supposed to be all these weird statues that are all stolen. They can't really do that, so they show the horses anyway. Sorry, Charlie, go ahead.
No worries. In terms of what you were saying about Dany and her arc next season, you mentioned that she's got like her escape from the Dothraki Sea with Drogon. I think she's in fact going to be leading the Dothraki by the end of it. I think she reaches, the Dosh Kalin, then Drogon appears, and honestly, this was partially, I think it was said in that supposed fake leak script thing, whatever that came out in September, which I don't agree with, but I think in this one they might have some of the right idea anyway. I do think that she is kind of the pale mare image, the blonde, like as her blonde hair, she is pale, she's the mare, she's the wife of the stallion called Drogo. So I do think she will, with Drogon appearing, I think she will kind of lead the Dothraki back to Slaver's Bay to kind of put down the insurrections there. And I think on that point, with possibly Euron coming to the area, she'll go back to Westeros. Generally speaking, that's the general idea, at least that I foresee for her. Specifics, I'm not too sure about.
if I can say that I think we need to remember Dany's prophecy. It was to go forward, you must go back. And then it also said you must pass under the shadow, beneath the shadow. Well, the shadow is probably, look at the picture where the masses are going underneath those horses. There's a shadow on them. And I think to go forward, she must go back. She's got to go back to Bas Dothrak, which is where all the Khaleesi's go when their calls are killed. They are their repository of history. They know warfare. They know everything. They're the crones. And also we see in this recent trailer that Drogon is flying over them, so he's casting a shadow as well. I have a question to ask you, though. I think this is the most important one. Why are those people fleeing back to Bas Dothrak? Are they fleeing?
The cows always go there. That's part of their migration.
Yeah, but all those people fleeing MP are fleeing or prisoners
The
or whatever.
Khalasar was huge. Drogo's Khalasar was massive. He brought all those people in behind him, too.
Why? Why now? Do you think the Night's King is coming the other way as well with forces?
I just think they're coming from another direction.
Why are they all going to Bas Dothrak?
If I could speak on
their migration, that's what they do.
I also think they're leading a bunch of slaves as well. I think they're bringing slaves back to Bas Dothrak, aren't they? That's my impression.
There's a lot of people. It's almost like a mecca.
You saw the amount of Dothraki horse riders that swarmed Dany at the end of last season. I think a lot of the people that are walking, some are Dothraki. I think many of them are slaves. And I also want to add to your comment, LaDonna, about passing under the shadow. I think something can be said of going under the shadow of her, going through the shadows of her past. If that makes any sense. Going through the motions of her, her previous marriage.
But for years we talked about whether or not that passing under the shadow was to go where the shadow of Ashai was, and Martin said that he was not going to go that far east, and we wondered whether he was lying to us. I don't think he was lying. This is the shadow she's passing under. It's metaphorical and it's physical.
And what about Quaithe? Could she not represent Ashai in a sense?
Who is Quaithe?
Oh God, not that question.
Let's not get into it.
I answered it 20 times in my last 20 videos.
You know, I used to, I'm not going to talk about Quathy except for this. I used to think she was just Danny's subconscious talking to her, but when they showed in the show Jorah talking to her as she was being tattooed, or she was tattooing somebody, she's real. Who is she? We'll see.
There was a video by Radio Westeros, but I might be wrong. I don't know if they were talking about a Quaid or the woman who's with young Griff. What's her name?
Septa Lemore.
Septa Lemore. But I think it's Quaid. They proposed that it's Danny's mother.
I think it might be Danny's mother, but I've said that I thought she escaped. I think Septa Lemore is Ashara, but we're not going to go there. Let's not go there.
Yeah.
Let's avoid that route.
Can I ask one question of, well, first to Charlie from what he was saying earlier, but to all of you, think that the Dothraki will ever cross the Narrow Sea? I think personally they're the counterpart to the Wildlings. They're coming from the opposite direction.
I think that it was foreshadowed with Robert saying it to Ned, and Ned saying, you know, they're never going to cross because it's salt water. And again, we're going back to the salt water elemental thing. That's
very good.
The Knights King's logo is a salt water element.
I don't agree on his logo. I shared that picture. To me, it looks like a raven.
Well,
it's too complex for the alchemist symbol.
Let me interrupt for 2 seconds. 2 seconds. I had some people disappointed that I was showing off Sansa and not also showing off Gendry.
Oh, and Arya, when Arya looks at him, she could eat him alive, and she's eating an apple while she does it. It's like Eve eating the apple.
MP, you had asked me a question. I think I got disconnected again.
Yeah. Do you think that, and it's to everybody as well, but do you think the Dothraki will cross the Narrow Sea? Ever?
Wait, where is this? Just Gendry. Where is this? This is from the season 2, right?
This is in Harrenhal, and Arya's sitting on the fence in front of him eating an apple, watching him flex. Remember in the books when he talks about ringing that bell, you know? And
Let's hope I don't get disconnected this time. MP was asking if I think they'll cross the narrow sea. I think now that a part of their prophecy is being revealed, the whole, maybe not in the way that they expect it, you know, the stallion who mounts the world is actually the pale mare who mounts the world, potentially. Or maybe it's Drogon, depending on how you want to look at it. I think that now that aspect of their belief system is being realized, I do think they will cross the narrow sea because they have to fulfill their own destiny, if that makes any sense.
If I can also add this to the prophecy that I'm getting an echo. Sorry. The Lion of Night married a princess that was milk white. I mean, these things are so circular. It's cyclical. It's unbelievable. Pale mare indeed. Ride that horse.
People are complimenting Gendry's arms, and somebody said, "What's the name? Phil the issue." Oh, it's Phil the Issues guy.
Hey,
Phil,
tell him I love. Hey, Phil.
what's up, Phil? Phil said that people are complimenting Gendry and Gendry's arms, and Phil said, "Imagine how his arms look now after all that freaking rowing." Sorry. Tony, we haven't heard from you in a while. What you got?
Yeah, I think they have to cross the Narrow Sea because Khal Drogo said that he was going to take them across the Narrow Sea. He's dead. Drogon is Drogo, so they will follow Drogon across the Narrow Sea.
I think maybe Jacko. I think Jacko he's got to step into some shoes. I mean, Khal Drogo said that they were fearless enough to go. Is Jacko fearless enough to go? I think it's a dare.
Yeah. Whatever happens, but to me, this Jorah and Dario, or what the fandom is calling them, Super Dario brothers, finding that ring is at the same level of stupidity as it's the bad pussy thing. I cannot get over that. You know that I love the show and everything, but
You know what though? I don't like Dorne either. I didn't like it in the books. I didn't really like it in the shows. But I rewatched all of them together in one thing. It wasn't that bad. I mean, you know, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't what we expected.
Certainly not bad enough for us to dwell on it. We got season 6 coming up. Let's do season 6. So, Danny. Talk to me about Danny. Who else has got some stuff?
Well, I also have, you know that I don't like the whole Danny thing because, especially in the books, I mean, Martin is a good writer, but he's not, nobody's perfect, so I don't like it. Marine, Dothraki, and it's too complicated.
Speak up a little bit. We want to hear your voice.
And was it James? Was it you that you said that she's gonna fall asleep and she's gonna wake up in Westeros?
Passed out on the dragon, yeah.
No, I don't think so because she needs to regroup. I mean, she needs to be a leader. She needs to lead those people.
I know where you're coming from, and I completely respect it, but I think that's the irony of it. She keeps wanting to be this thing she can't become, and then it's handed to her. But I hear what you're saying. I disagree, but respectfully.
She's going across with the Dothraki. She is the queen of the Khaleesi. She is going. Period.
That's the second part of the question. If you do think she's passing, who do you think, or the Dothraki are crossing? Who takes them? Danny or somebody else?
Danny rides Drogon. Period.
What about Viserion or say Euron or Yara, whoever you want to put in there?
Well, let them figure out what to do with the other two dragons. They're all going to coalesce at some point. Tyrion has let them out of the dungeon. That was the scene about you're in the
dragon. The Dothraki.
Yeah, well, if Euron comes with his boats, we got it made, right?
Yeah.
What Tyrion's going to do is the question. And I'm going to say this. Daario is a bad person. Daario is the betrayal, last betrayal for Danny. I think he is. I think when he left for a while, he coalesced with the leaders of Yunkai, and Danny was weak at that point, didn't have a dragon, and he said, let's get a second plan. And if you go and rewatch the Daario scenes, it's really ambiguous about what he's doing. When he looks at those harpies, I think he's kind of looking at whether his plan is working. He doesn't want Danny to die because she is the one who controls those dragons. He doesn't want to kill her, but he's trying to get her back in his control so that he can control those dragons. Daario's a bad, bad guy.
I disagree. I respect where you're coming from, and you're not alone in that opinion. But in my opinion, Daario and Jorah are supposed to represent two sides of the same coin, and I would put Barristan in there too, but he's dead as far as the show when we're talking about season 6. So they both love Danny. They want to fight for Danny. The difference is I am Daario Naharis. I do what I want. Jorah does whatever Danny wants him to do. Now, Daario will do whatever Danny wants him to do as long as it aligns with his predilections. But when they're both faced with the choice to join the Night's King and Night's Queen, Danny, Jorah will join without question, and Daario can't. He cannot give up free will.
Let's not go that far. If we but hold on. If we just look at the current situation, if you want to mirror them, Jorah loves her. Daario's using her.
What's Daario using her for? What benefit other than fucking her has Daario gotten?
Dragons.
Dragons, baby. I mean, come on. They're the nuclear weapons.
How the fuck does Daario have dragons?
Through Danny.
It's like what you said about.
In what way has he controlled her to benefit himself in any way?
He told her a dragon queen with no dragons is no queen at all, and that everybody is meat to be killed. I mean, I just don't think he can get any clearer.
That's certain. I mean, he may have his own. He was a part of the Second Sons. You don't become a part of the Second Sons because you're a pacifist.
Right, that's exactly right. He is not a good person. He killed those guys.
Danny's the head of dude.
He cut his partner's head off.
And he burned the lady alive.
To get close to Danny, absolutely. I agree with LaDonna. He's got a motive.
I want to say this, just one thing. Phil the Issues Guy, your reviews are hilarious. I love you guys. It's like, what's a talking crow somebody does on this show? Anyway.
I could just go...
Sorry.
Hold on, go ahead, Claire.
I was just going to say, if I could go back to what James and Charlie were saying earlier. Sorry, just Marwyn.
Marwyn is...
Marwyn's our puppy, by the way, everyone. Here he is.
Show it.
Marwyn.
What you were saying earlier about I said when it comes to the Dothraki and next season and what's going to be happening with Dany, I think it could be a combination of what you both say actually. What James was saying about Drogon basically decimating the Dothraki, and Charlie saying that the Dothraki will kind of submit to Dany and she wins them over. I think it could be a combination of both when you bear in mind the overriding theme with the Dothraki, which is that they will follow strength. They will follow strength. So if the dragon displays strength, and basically, even if he just barbecues everybody in Vaes Dothrak, whoever's left will follow Dany and the dragon because that's the strength. Same as what Charlie was saying. If they may just see a great big flying horse in the sky, immediately bow down to that, and Dany has her, she has her army, she has she's got her numbers that she can take over to Westeros with her.
Arguably, they've seen the dragon.
And that
before,
might be a way, because I don't know, I've got no idea, and I don't know what people think here about it, both in the books and in the TV show, but particularly for next season. Is Dany going to go back to Meereen before she goes to Westeros? What's happening there? What do you think?
I'd like to say so. Go ahead, Nico.
Yeah, she needs to go back to Meereen, because she needs to get those people on the ships, and ships are there, and the rest of Meereen in the whole Slaver's Bay just wants her out of there. She's stirred up some shit. Everybody, will be like, please go, and they will negotiate. Not like, of course, directly say, you need to get the fuck out of here, but they will be for it. And as for Dario, it's hard to say, but they did some pretty shit with the casting. This other Dario, he's a pretty guy, but he doesn't get the same vibe as the first Dario, or Dario, whatever you call him.
Please,
so this new Dario is like, he would read you poems and drink wine, but the first Dario was amazing.
Well, if the first Dario had drunk wine and read those poems, we would get that kind of...
He would never do that. He has this bad boy.
He might have done it, but we would have still gotten the vibe that, I don't trust you.
Exactly. So it's the actor that is like changing our perspective now. At least to me. And I would rather watch the first Dario, obviously, because, oh my god.
I gotta say this. I think Jorah gave her grayscale. He held her hand with the same hand he had it. Oh my god, I really think she's infected.
Yeah, we totally forgot about that. Grayscale.
I think she is. It's going to take a while. Targaryens are disease resistant, but I think it's going to get her later.
It's certainly going to be an opportunity for those mass of slaves for the Dothraki to get infected.
Oh god, we can bypass the pale mare diarrheal thing and just go straight to grayscale.
To me, there need to be two. You need a vaccine, and you need what do you call this?
Antibiotics.
No, that's a good idea. The tracking of disease. What's that called? Epidemiology. You need epidemiology, and you need vaccines.
Which the father of epidemiology is Jon Snow. Look it up. It's on Wikipedia. It's there for a reason. And I also tend to think that whatever the Night's King inoculated those or vaccinated those Craster sons with, I think it's grayscale. I think this is all going to come together. Okay, that's my prediction.
Fair enough. Anything else on Dany? And particularly, does Tony and Charlie have anything to say about Dany?
I think I've said my piece. Tony?
As I think Dany's plot is just going to follow the book straight up. I don't really think there's a lot of mystery or anything going on there. I think it just follows books. As I said, she's going to go to the Vaes Dothrak. She'll be saved by Drogon. She goes, saves them, Meereen, and she heads off to, hopefully she heads off to Westeros at the end of the season.
And of course, in her vision, when she gets to Westeros, in her vision, Cersei has already burned down King's Landing.
Oh,
that
was epic.
Yes.
I did have something.
We agree on that too, LaDonna.
Two things. Number one, let me take a poll. Just going to go all the way through. Who here thinks that Tyrion has grayscale, whether it be or otherwise? Charlie.
Nope, no grayscale on Tyrion.
Mama.
I do because of the gargoyle references throughout compared to him when the gargoyle's stone.
Clare Gray.
No.
Maester.
Doesn't matter. It's a cocoon. You come out different.
It's a MacGuffin.
Nico.
No.
Tony.
No.
Okay, let me do this real quick. It's just an idea. I pictured in my head like the train. It's perfect timing. Cersei will want to. Cersei has the prophecy that she will be killed by a younger brother, and if she thinks that she has lost her children, then she may want to kill all the younger brothers, which would be very similar to the
Passover.
The Passover. The idea of the shadow passing over and killing all the firstborn sons, unless you put blood on your doorway. That's from the Bible. But Cersei will want to kill all the younger brothers, possibly even Tommen, which is ironic. To do it, which is maybe how she burns everything. So to do this, she may collect all the firstborn males into a single spot and plan on burning. Because I told you it. It plans. Shush.
Has to be a younger brother.
Okay, James, finish your thought.
Mama, hush. I love you.
It's okay.
To do this, Cersei may collect all the firstborn males into a single spot and plan on burning the rest to the ground until the dragon attack happens and many of the firstborn are killed. It's just an idea. Random fucking idea. All right, let's move on to Marine.
Marine?
Yes. In Marine, we have Tyrion, we have Missandei, and we have Grey Worm. We also have Varys, play in the shadows. There's also apparently going to be some scenes with who the fuck is Shay in it. Now that's got to be because she's on set and she's in costume and there's pictures of them and she's talking to Tyrion and Varys and some of them. She could just be a background actress. But to me, we're going to get Tyrion so affected by what happened to him. And again, you're getting a TV show, not a book, so you can't write down that Tyrion thought he saw somebody and he thought. You have to actually show Shay. Now, I bet that's what happened. They're going to show Tyrion the effect that what happened to Shay is. What happened to Shay, the effect that's happening to Tyrion. So, that's knocked out. We get the speech back, Tyrion. You're in the game now. He's got to be talking to. We also got a Red Priestess cast, which has got to be somebody Tyrion's talking to because that's what's going on. They foreshadowed it last season. So we've got to get political intrigue. The whole point of this is for Tyrion to prove that he can fucking rule. His dad's not somewhere else coming. His family's not there. The money's not there. He's got to do it. And we get the scene of him pouring the wine into the bottle because this is not just him practicing his ruling. This is his life. This is everything to him now revolves around this. If he loses it, fuck it, he can go back to drinking. But his life, his whole livelihood. So Missandei and Grey Worm are going to be central to that. And David and Dan both said that Missandei and Grey Worm were not that big of a deal, were not as big a part of their intent in this series. But that the performances of those two actors made them want to write more. And that's arguably why we got a more detailed love story, but they're going to be a part of it. We get a scene with Tyrion walking down some steps and some. Who are the leaders?
The Harpies.
Not the Harpies. The leaders of the wealthy people.
Yeah.
The leaders of the wealthy people.
The great masters.
Right. It looks like he's talking to them. You also get, I think, a split second of a couple of the Sons of the Harpy. So his goal will be to interconnect all of these threads at Marine. But that said, the key to Marine, in my opinion, is ultimately the other two dragons. That is the crux that gets everybody else out of Marine. And Euron's going there, in my opinion. And we see Tyrion holding up that lantern. He's going into those pits. He's not going to die, in my opinion, but he's going into those pits, and those dragons are getting out.
Okay, I'm going to go back to the question that Claire asked before. I think it was Claire. Is going back to Marine? I don't think so. I think she's going to go through Marine with her army. She's not going to stop because it's a fucked up nightmare there. Tyrion is going to see her going. Tyrion's going to get control of the situation there. I don't think she's going to go back. Tyrion will intuit it. He's the hand. He's so excellent at it. He'll figure out what to do. So I have not seen Shay in costume. I think she's hanging out on the set, and I don't think she's related at all to the show anymore. She's gone. So I just don't think so. By the way, did you see that Carice Van Houten got pregnant by Guy Pearce? Oh, my God. They're going to have the most beautiful baby in the world. And I think that Lena Headey got pregnant by Pedro Pascal. She just had a child. Oh my God!
That baby is gonna be amazing.
Yeah.
The baby with the swag.
Does anybody want to share their thoughts on Marine before I give my piece, or?
Go for it, Charlie. You do it.
Alrighty. I think my thoughts tend to go more towards what James is saying. I think really the end result for Marine, basically because of the two actors and the performance they put on with, I'm talking about obviously Grey Worm and Missandei. I think it will be left in their hands to rule that whole area once Daenerys leaves Essos. I do think she's stopping by there, but she's not staying as LaDonna implies. I think she's going to go there with the Dothraki. They're going to kind of quell the situation with the Sons of the Harpy, but once they go, she's going to leave Missandei and Grey Worm to rule. And it makes sense because they are kind of part of that system. They're a part of that culture in many ways as ex-slaves, really. So it makes sense for them to kind of stay there and rule, whereas Dany and Tyrion really do go back to Westeros. Those are my only thoughts.
Did you see that the top of the pyramid where Dany's council is being exploded?
Sorry, can you repeat that? What?
The top of the pyramid where Dany's council room is, where she and Barristan and Missandei used to hang out and make plans. There's a scene in there of it being exploded through the window that she walked out on to find Drogon.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now, is that the dragon destroying it, which happened in the books? Remember, they destroyed the pyramids at the top.
Not those pyramids. They were I'm with you. I'm not. The pyramids outside the town, old pyramids in different cities.
Well, again, book show they may consolidate it. I mean, is that dragons? I don't think so. I think it is. I think it's the Harpies trying to invade. What do y'all think?
Agreed. It's terrorism. It's terrorism, but terrorism is defined by the people who win. If you end up rebelling and you win and you set a new government, then it's not terrorism. It's fascism.
Well, they look at her like a terrorist, so, you know.
While y'all talk about that, I'm going to show the pictures of Shay from next season.
James, can you read the group chat when you get a chance?
Yes,
like our group chat.
Everybody read the...
True. That we can end on that if that's all right.
All
right, so
here's
here's the pictures my mom's talking about with Shay on season 6, but she's not in the regular garb. This one and this one. But look at that and tell me she's not in garb from a character.
She definitely looks like she is. But maybe she's a happy whore from Happyport.
Maybe. All right, so let's go back to what you were saying, Tony. Charlie and my mama.
Oh, Marine. Anybody else have thoughts on that? Tony,
somebody in the chat said, and I think this is a good point, they said, do you guys think the trailer clip where the expulsion happened in Marine, that might be the Ironborn shooting cannons? Are they that close to the sea?
That's a great fucking point. That would be cool as shit.
Yeah, but I don't think so, because when Dany looked out that window at the top of the tower, she was looking out through a multitude of land and people. So I don't think they're on the sea. What say you?
They have gunpowder back there?
No, they don't have gunpowder. That's absolutely a no-no. So yes, Tony, you're right. But they do have trebuchets. But I don't think it can reach that high. Is it dragons?
I think that Marine is. It's not. I think Tyrion, as I said, will open to set the dragons free. I think there's a possibility he can get birthed. I think Tyrion will also lead the charge. And instead of Varys and Selmy, when he has to, I think that'll be Tyrion doing that. I think Tyrion goes back to Westeros with Dany. I don't think she's leaving him. I don't think that at all. I think that he's running with her. I think Varys will leave there, and he'll go back and kill Kevin before he'll stay there for a while. Then he'll take off, and then he'll be the one with the little birds, and they'll stab up Kevin and take out Grand Maester Pycelle. I think he'll leave.
Yeah, I like that, Sandy. I like that.
All right.
We end our discussion with the last important point for the
Does
trailer.
anybody else got anything they want to say about Marine?
Fuck Marine. I know Tony also thinks just like me. Fuck Marine.
Let's start the next topic, Tony.
Next and last topic, then we're going to take questions. So the last topic, Charlie.
Yes, the Tower of Joy.
Woohoo!
I have nothing to say on that. I want to hear your guys' opinions. All I'm going to say is I made a video on the Tower of Joy. Feel free to check it out. That's all.
Do it.
TOJ.
All right, so the Tower of Joy. Obviously, we have somebody in Targaryen armor wielding two swords. I want to say that's got to be Arthur fucking Dayne. Could not be, but I think that's Arthur fucking Dayne. It's also obviously got Ned. We got Howland Reed. I did not see 7 people on one side, but they got to do it. They were 7 facing 3 as it had been. It was, yeah. So
I saw 6. I
saw 6 in that one picture, but there could easily have been somebody else. There's also, sorry, spoilers, I warned you, there's a clip of somebody filming from the cliff behind where they're shooting, and you can see that it looks like everybody's on the fucking ground but 2 people, and then somebody else slips behind one of the other ones and puts a knife to his... You could barely tell what he's doing. You can't tell whether he kills him or not, but he pulls a knife. So it looks like Ned and Arthur Dayne, Ned gets downed, and during that fight or something, Ned's about to lose, and Howland Reed slips behind him. I think the real question, because it's obviously going to be a vision, it has to be. It could be a flashback. We've had flashbacks before, but in my opinion, it's got to be a vision because Bran was on set. But the real question to me is, where do you cut it off? Because you cannot reveal... To me, Jon is canon, and I don't want to go down this road. But it's not just Jon. There's so much that gets expounded upon after that. Lyanna, Rhaegar, everything expands from that. So you have to cut it off at a certain point. But and it would make a lot of sense, in my opinion, for Bloodraven to deflect from whatever secrets he doesn't want Bran to know, or that the Night King doesn't want Bran to know. So I'm just really excited about this scene. If they are not going to get rid of Dawn, we're going to see it. We're going to see Howland Reed for the first time. We're going to see Ned lose a fight, and we're going to see 7 people fighting 3 people in one of the most epic battles. I can't fucking wait. It better be the most if they fuck it up, so be it. It'll be horrible, and I'll still love the fucking show. But goddamn, if they nail it, holy shit. Tony, you go next.
I'm looking forward to the Tower of Joy scene 100%. I think that the Jon situation is a wrap, and we discussed that. I just think, as you said, it's really, to me, it's how far they're going to go after. Are they going to go to their assured Dayne? Are they going to go to dropping off the sword? Are they going to really go that far after that? I'm really more interested in that than anything else, because to me, I know everything that happened at the Tower of Joy. This whole, Dany, that is the kid, I don't believe in none of that. So, I mean, I respect everyone who thinks it, and that they have the balls to go out there and be that wrong in the end. But hey, I expect them to go out there and do that. So
that's me. I'm that wrong.
And that's it. So, but I think we already know what it's going to be. So I don't really have a lot to say there. Just I'm looking forward to seeing it, and it's really how far after.
Where do you think they're going to cut it off? Do you think we're going to get anything from Lyanna, a sound, or even a look? It looked like there was a girl on set. What do you think about that?
They're going to have to go upstairs.
Hold up, Mom.
They got to go upstairs and have Ned with her, and you got to see the promise that she tells Ned. And it's just what's going to happen after. Is he going to take the sword? Is he going to show Ned taking the sword? If they show him take the sword, they have to pay that off somehow. So
I respect that totally. I disagree. I don't think we're even going to get that. I think it's going to end with a fight. we might even get some kind of voiceover from Ned. I don't think so. It might be that Bran sees Ned remembering that happening, but random shit. I don't think we're getting Lyanna. When Lyanna's cast, it'll be a huge fucking deal. They'll try to keep it secret. We never knew that the Night's King guy was cast until after we saw him on television, and we're like, who the fuck is that? He's a really cool dude, by the way. All right, anything to add to that, Tony?
No, I'm good.
Mom?
Go ahead, LaDonna.
Well, first of all, I think the vision will be broken into two parts, like they did with Maggie the Frog's prophecy with Cersei. They didn't give the whole prophecy yet. They didn't tell her she's going to be strangled by the Valanquar. All Maggie told her was that her children were going to die before her. We still haven't seen Cersei throw her friend down a well yet. I think we're going to see that. And we don't know that she got the Valanquar prophecy. So I think they're going to break the Tower of Joy similarly up into two visions. I kind of like that break where Ned hears Lyanna say, Eddard, Lord Eddard, and then cut it till the next one where we see him find her in a bed of blood.
All right. I think we're getting the rest of Cersei's prophecy, by the way. Maybe not this season, but that was the first shot of the last season, season 5. All right. Who wants to go next?
MP Nico, Claire.
MP.
I'll go. If I think I agree with James, I don't think we can see inside the building. If Bran has a vision, it has to be outside. If we do go inside, even if they show us a baby being born or promise me Ned, unless the baby is named and you see the name, it doesn't matter. It's the exact same stuff we have in the books. There's no answer given. It just provides the RLJ canon to move forward, and everybody will then get behind it.
Digging it.
To me, R plus L equals J. That's a canon. That's it. And we will only see the fight. We will not see anything inside.
I feel so bad for people.
People are. Did you see this other video that was released yesterday or 2 days ago? I'm not sure. Lost track of time. This guy that climbed some fucking hill and he was shooting the filming. Did you see that? And the video is like upside down. So there was a release. He released the first part. I don't know, a few months ago. But now there's a new video. You cannot see much. You cannot see much, but it's. I mean, they filmed outside. You didn't see they enter the ruin or anything. So yeah.
It's a mystery. I mean, it's a mystery. They want it to be a mystery for the show viewers also. I mean,
exactly.
We've only been doing this 5 years. People have been wondering about this for over 25 years now. They're going to keep the show viewers a little bit in a quandary for a while.
Yeah, with the spoon, you're not going to get the whole thing.
Little bits.
Yeah. So, but it's going to be amazing, I hope, and the fight, and I want to see what did Howland Reed do. How did that happen?
Which one do y'all think was Howland Reed? I mean, was a longer-haired guy Ned, because he obviously had his hair kind of pulled back a little bit like Ned.
Man bun.
But the guy who had short hair looked more like the actor who was cast for Ned. So what do y'all think? Which one was Ned?
I think Ned
was at the front.
Yeah. I think it would be funny. It would be funny because you said we only see 6 people in the trailer or the picture stills of that scene. I think it would be funny if it turns out Howland Reed is actually lagging behind and kind of shows up last minute to save the day.
Yeah.
That's my thoughts on that.
Yeah.
Sorry I'm late, guys. I had to ride the mule.
I was green seeing along the way.
These lizard lions don't ride quite as fast as your horses.
Riding on a crocodile.
What?
Yeah. Crocodile.
I still say that sword is inside Lyanna's statue, and it is sword in the stone. James, I came up with that.
Bullshit! It's my fucking video. Go watch it.
swear to
It's
God.
my fucking video. Go watch it. My video.
You came up with half that stuff on my deck when I kicked your brain.
My deck.
this all along.
The small council brings the drama.
That's what started this whole thing. You want to get views?
No kidding.
Start some drama. I'll fight you, Mama.
I'll take the Night's
It wouldn't
King
be
back. James,
discussion.
What do you always say, Ma? What do you always say? What do we grow up with you saying?
I love y'all equally but differently.
That too. No, I brought you into this world.
And I can take you out.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was hard to hear though in between the physical violence.
On that note, can we go to questions?
Let's go to questions.
LaDonna, you know what my a mother of my friend, really good friend, and I love this woman. She said, "I only beat my children in self-defense."
You know, I was just about to say, I'm 5'2" and maybe a half, and I've got, you know, my sons have grown and grown and grown. My daughter is 5'7", and I'm like, I don't have a freaking chance. I'm a hobbit. I tamed him with food.
Just to remind people in the chat, we're taking questions now, so send them in.
Yeah, it takes a minute for them to hear us.
Somebody
I know.
asked, can we say fuck? Of
In case
course.
it wasn't clear, though.
We can say fuck the king.
Yeah, fuck the king.
Oh, we have our first questions. Eric Elgrinch asks, why do you think LaDonna is inside that tower? Help.
Because she's pregnant, and because she's being kept away from the war. Rhaegar's trying to protect her. She's pregnant, and Ned just happens to show up at the serendipitous time where she's having the babies.
And her child is the prince of King's Landing, and the 3 guards outside are King's guards protecting his queen.
Can I answer?
Here.
Go ahead, MP.
Because it makes no sense for the Mad King to put all of his heirs in one building, so he separates them, and Rael is there.
I don't think Riel is there.
Where?
In the
Tower
tower.
of Joy.
No.
Yeah, let's not do that slippery slope. Another question, this time for Tony from Taylor Perrault. He asks, what are the chances the others/White Walkers are controlled by the children?
Very good chance that it's possible that they're aligned or controlled by the children of the forest. There's definitely a connection between the White Walkers and the children of the forest.
Alicia Kingston asks, how did Ned find out where LaDonna was?
That's a good question. I'd have to say that he found it out from King's guards who were there. Barris Selmy might have told him.
Jamie, possibly?
I would like to say this. I've talked to James about this a lot. You look at what Ned did shortly at the very end of the war, and I think this was foreshadowed in the very first episode. Ned is a great tracker, and he tracked down the dire wolf that was dead. He tracked down the infant pups that were dead. I mean,
the truth about Cersei?
It was
about Robert's bastards, too.
He tracked down Robert's bastard. That's right, Charlie. He is.
But also the fact that Cersei has illegitimate children. Sorry, go ahead.
You're right, but also Ned has a way with people. He can talk with folks. He can find things out without being an asshole. He tracked her all the way to Dorne, and by the way, he went everywhere fixing things before he went to find his sister.
Can I go?
Agreed.
It was known that Rhaegar liked to go to Tower of Joy. Tower of Joy was like a place to go for the royal family. I was Summerhall and then the Tower of Joy for Rhaegar. It was known. So
is that right?
Just assumed. Yeah. Rhaegar liked to go there. I think so.
Would not Rhaegar want to take his mom away from his evil father and store her there for any reason, though?
I think he helped her get smuggled out. But well, maybe she wasn't. I don't know. And if Dany and Jon are twins, then it would make sense she'd be there for the birth of her grandchildren.
But you should, MP. I know what you're aiming at, but at the time it was like at the Harrenhal and all this the tourney. You can see that Rhaegar was planning to, dethrone the.
Planning to do what?
To dethrone Aerys, Mad King Aerys.
Yeah.
So, but Aerys, it wasn't the one who killed his mom. It was Tywin Lannister and the Mountain. So it just roll down that it was a bigger thing. He didn't connect.
Whose mom? Sorry, I think I'm talking about Ares' wife.
Yes,
She
right.
was
Who's supposed to
alive.
be away
She got
on
smuggled out.
Dragonstone with Viserys, giving birth
Yes,
to
to
Dan.
the Dragonstone.
If that's true.
I'm
Earlier
just saying
was
she's
this.
at the Tower of Joy with
No,
Rhaegar.
No. Would
Let's
you
take more-
take your mom to your honeymoon? Come on, no man would do that.
If you want to get
Like
her
a
away from her
mom-in-law.
father, then you take her where you can, and Kingsguard to protect her
No,
and her
it's
unborn
too
child.
much. It's too much.
How will we move on to another question?
I just think that real quick, that if they do not show the inside of the Tower of Joy, then it makes no sense to have the Tower of Joy. The only thing the Tower of Joy represents is the birth of that baby. That's it.
Yeah.
Not the fight, not anything else. So if they don't, they have to show the birth of that baby. That's no other reason to show that scene unless you're going to show the birth of that baby.
We don't get anything in the Tower of Joy scene in the books. We don't get anything from the room. He says he found Leon in her bed of blood, and the smell of roses, and that's where they found me. I don't know how long I was there.
Yeah, but that's when it was a mystery. It's about to be revealed now.
Not this season.
Tony,
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think it will be in 2 parts, though. I think they'll set it up and then they'll show it.
Well, will they show the other part this season?
I think so.
They got to get to it.
It's time. It's time to do it, man. Come on.
No, it's John. They're not going to bring John back to life. This is the reason why he's coming back to life. This is what it all is. You're going to see it all this season. It'll be a done deal.
I agree.
Question. For show viewers, why does Dane have 2 swords?
All right, I think Dane has 2 swords because he doesn't use Dawn usually. He carries Dawn with him, but he uses, and this isn't book canon, but he uses another sword, and that's a way that they can show that it's a special sword. So he's using one sword, and then when he thinks things are getting heavy, he pulls out a different sword that looks entirely different, and he fights with 2. Making that up, but
I like that.
It's just easier to have a guy on TV look like a great swordsman if he's swinging 2 swords around instead of 1.
they also made a joke in the television. I can't remember what season it was, but who fights with 2 swords? Who says that? Does the Hound say that to Brienne? Who says that?
Mm-mm.
Who fights with 2 swords? That's in the show.
Just took somebody's sword somehow because he's a really good warrior, and then the Howler Dude is gonna sneak behind him and do something, kill him. I don't think he fights with 2 swords. It's like you have this one epic sword that's representative of your family or whatever, and then why do you need another sword?
I like your idea, Jamie.
And not mine. Thank you very much.
I love you, Nico.
I know.
Can I throw 2 cents into the 2 swords thing?
Yeah.
We do have the first episode of whatever after the Red Wedding, the season after. The first episode was titled 2 Swords.
Yeah.
In theory, this is crackpot, and this would go to Ned taking Dawn back to Winterfell and having it forged into ice. And ice being described as larger than any sword any man needs. Why that would be,
I think
and why you have to melt it out and take it out, I don't know. But there is the 2 swords mentioned.
I like that.
And Donal Noy is at the wall with Benjen.
Yes, he's a one-armed armorer too. It's hilarious.
Quiet American Records wants to know, will Jorah or Daario die on the road trip, or will they both meet Dany again?
Both.
Both.
Both will meet Dany?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I agree.
What about the
Can we take more questions?
Yeah, more
Go ahead.
questions.
More questions?
Question about the Isle of Faces.
Where is that one? Can you read it?
You can read it, Mama.
Go ahead.
Hold on.
I'll read another question while we wait. Is Benjen still alive? Landmine 420X.
Yes.
Agreed.
Yes.
No. Does the Red Woman Jessica Bunkley asks, does the Red Woman need the blood of the Targaryen because everybody and they won't burn.
What?
I think she wants to know if the Red Woman needs the blood of the Targaryen blood, because Targaryens don't burn.
Targaryens do burn. Aryan
Burn.
Bright Flame. Oh, I want to say this. Aryan Bright Flame burned. Aemon Targaryen was burned.
Jon was burned.
Summerhall.
Summerhall.
They burned. Jon's hand was burned, and he's a Targaryen. That is a one-trick pony. Even Martin said Dany's event at Drogo's Pyre was a one-trick pony. You won't see it again. So get rid of that. It's a myth. And I think that blood is a myth as well. I think that is a non-magical event.
S. Moore wants to know, do you guys think winter will reach King's Landing this season?
Yeah, it did in the books. It's already snowing there. What do you mean by winter? Night's King?
Yes.
I think they mean like winter as in it's officially declared. Winter is here. Kind of like at the end of the last book, but we don't have it.
They did that last year.
Well, it does look in the
Was
trailer.
that
It looks.
They didn't do that in the show yet, did they?
It already happened last year.
Sorry, I was just going to say in the
Really?
trailer there's a still photograph that looks like it's the little birds, like maybe that the epilogue in the books with Kevin and killing Pycelle.
Yeah.
So maybe we reached that point, and I'm sure at that point isn't there a white raven at the window that's kind of announcing winter? So. I mean, there's gonna be an explosive ending, isn't there, to this season? And it could be, that's what it looked like anyway. It looked like a lot of little birds all kind of grouped together in the still photograph.
Hold on, because in the books, that's when winter is declared to have reached King's Landing. But MP and Tony just said that it came last year. I don't remember that in the trailer or in the season.
The Raven came and said that summer was over. But
yeah, but not winter though.
But not winter. But at the end of the 5th book, when a lot of folks are starting to die,
yeah,
snow is falling everywhere, and people are walking around in the courtyards of King's Landing, and they say it's covered with snow.
Yeah.
So it's there. Also, I think the real question is, when does winter come to Essos? Because the ghost grass mythology is icy.
Ooh.
So when that continent gets winter, we're in a world of hurt. That would be like Africa covered in snow.
Yeah.
And again, I think it's coming around both ends of this planet. So I'm not sure those people aren't going to Mos Dothraki because it's coming. I think it's coming. And we've got that ring fort. Ring fort in the middle of Essos. That ring fort surrounded by a salty sea. That's there for a reason. It was holding back the line of night. So I think it's coming all the way around the planet.
Did you find this question for the children?
Should that be the last question, or should we ask more?
Ask another question, Charlie.
Another question? Okay. I have to get going soon, though.
Yeah.
You guys can stay on, though, if you want, though. No pressure, obviously. Here's one. How about from William Siebert? Will Bran walk now?
Nope. Done.
Okay.
No, I will say this. I think he is going to leave that cave, and I've changed my mind. I think he does leave, and let me tell you why I think he might. I don't think there's anything that stops Craster's son from going in there. Sons, the White Walkers, from going in. Not the zombies, and not the Night's King, because they're whites. But Craster's sons are alive. They're changed, but they're alive. If they go in that cave, Bran may well be forced out. Plus, James made the point in the last video that it looks like Mira might be in trouble. Bran will go and help Mira.
Side note: there's in the Inside the Game of Thrones season 6. There's a clip the makeup when they're doing the prosthetic stuff. There's a clip of what looks like a white crawling through a hole that has weirwood roots over it. That's what it looks like. I don't know. So that's something to be said.
A white or a White Walker?
It looks like a white. I don't know what that is, but it looks like it. And there's a clip also in one of the trailers that has Bran on a horse or mule.
Right.
And that's the scene that gets me. I don't know what that means. That means to me that he comes, Mama. means to me that he's going to come out, but not. When I say he's going to stay in the cave, I never thought about him coming back out for a split second, but to me, he's ultimately coming back to that cave. He's staying in that cave.
Well, if I can add this, Jamie, we have had a lot of foreshadowing about Bran riding horses. You know, when he first gets paralyzed, he has a conversation with Maester Lewin, who he says, "I'll never walk again." He said, "Well, you know, you don't know that." And he said, "The Dothraki teach their children to ride at age 4 and shoot an arrow." And then we have Tyrion come in and design this magnificent saddle for him. So the fact that we have an image now showing Bran on a horse, I think comes full circle to that. So he may very well come out of that cave mounted, but he will never walk again.
There's also something else I need to add. There is an image of what looks like a white crawling through the what looks like a hole with werewood roots over it. But there's also this, which was in the Game of Thrones thing. And that's obviously a White Walker, and those are green. Those are the roots behind them. So that may be them coming to the Greenseer throne. I see this more, and I could be completely wrong. I see this more being a vision of Bran, Bran seeing them, and he's still surrounded by the room he's in. I could be completely wrong. If they get into that throne room, then my idea about the back door and all that is really questioned. Well, no, not necessarily, because if the White Walkers can get in, that doesn't mean a White can get in. And if the Night's King is a White, he's the one who really needs to get in, and he can't go in that way. But the other image, which is what looks like a White, and I can't find it, a White crawling through the hole into the Greenseer throne, that makes me question whether that theory is still true.
Didn't we hear something earlier on, like pretty much just after the last season had finished, where next season is going to be very much about the White Walkers, and we get there's a controversial scene, or there's some not controversial, but there's an interesting scene where we get to find out more about the White Walkers and who they are, and you know, this is going to be something that maybe the show does that the books doesn't. So rather than it being a vision, maybe it's just like you get to sort of see where they hang out, or where their little home is. Maybe it's underground, because it looks like there are lots of routes there.
Well, you know, James and I talked a lot about whether there's a tunnel between Winterfell and the Bloodravens' werewood throne, because, you know, in the books there are a lot of passages about the Stark children playing in those tombs, and it gets darker and darker, and they don't go any farther. I think there's a reason for that.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's Kendall's tunnels as well.
Pardon me?
Kendall's tunnels.
Gandalf's tunnels.
You know, the cave that Jon and Ygritte were in, and she was explaining to him about Gendel. Yes. And
gosh, the children, yes.
Yeah, the tunnels.
Yes. Yeah, but again, you know, if these things are warded against the undead, the White Walkers are not undead; they're alive.
Mm.
So
all right, I got another question. I don't want to interrupt if y'all weren't done.
Charlie's leaving, honey. Give him a shout out.
Yeah. We're going to leave in just a second,
guys,
too.
yeah.
Thank you so much, Charlie. You're the shit. I'm so sorry you had so much trouble. I love you,
man. No worries.
Thank you so much.
I'm glad I got to stay here. Thanks for hosting this, James. I'll see you guys very, very soon,
man.
especially
We'll do some more.
See you, Charlie.
Less than a month.
Take care, folks. Less than a month. Yeah, good night, folks.
You too.
Bye.
All right. Another question. Let's try to knock out a couple real quick. We'll just go across the line. What influence will Bran have on the rest of the world this season, or will he just be used for flashbacks? My opinion, we're definitely going to get heavy fucking flashbacks, but in my opinion, the wall's coming down at the end of this season, and that's Bran. Only Bran can do that. Mom.
I want to hear what Tony says.
Tony.
I don't think Bran will bring down the wall or anything like that, but I just think that in that picture that you're seeing that they are gonna get chased out of that place that they're at, without down the tree. He's gonna have to go on the road. Did a video on this. That's possibly it could be Cole Hand saving him. But I think he's gonna be on the run on the road. But mostly his thing is just to get that information for the John situation. His role is to get that information and then to find out what the White Walker's motivations are.
All right, Maester Payne.
What was the question? Sorry.
Brand's role this season.
I don't think he will have influence over the vast majority of the world. It's possible he'll get in touch with Arya or somebody like that through the animals. I kind of don't think so, but the world at whole, no, I don't think that he's going to have anything to do besides his own stuff. He'll figure shit out, but he's not going to transfer any knowledge to anybody else.
I think next season we'll see Bran and his developing relationship with Bloodraven, whatever that's going to be, and I think Bran will be used to give the viewers an insight into, are the White Walkers good or bad? Who are they? What are they about? What are their motivations? And I think Bran is going to be used to give us a little bit of an insight as viewers into what that might be about, to give us the perspective. Oh, hang on a minute, maybe they're not all bad. Maybe there's something there that gives us some kind of rationale for what their agenda might be, and that will be through Bran's story arc next season.
Nico.
I'm a mix of MP and Claire. Yeah, I think he's most powerful as a Green Seer. So he can communicate to his. He can get all the information from the Wirewoods, and he can release the information maybe through birds or something like that. And of course, what Claire said with the background on White Walkers and the Night's King.
All right.
I would like to add this. Bran's chapters are probably my favorite chapters in the book. And a lot of people don't like them. I personally love them. I think if there is anything that truly the Lovecraftian idea of cosmic horror, it's Bran. And I just think it's a hugely intellectual exercise, and I think that's what Bran is. He is going to be a repository of thousands of years of history.
What's his role going to be this
and
season?
How? Well, I think it's now. It's now or never. He needs to come forward now. Yeah.
All right. The next question I have is, by the way, that was from Cobbett, COBBETT 140. Taylor Perrault, excuse me. Taylor Perrault says, "What do you want to see the most this season? Which scene?"
I wanted that question.
What do you think, Nico?
Bran. To me, Bran always. That's the only part that I'm really excited about in the trailers.
I'm with you. It's going to be exciting as shit. The flashbacks, the idea of these getting inside things, mods. Claire.
I'm really looking forward to seeing Cersei go batshit crazy in King's Landing, because I think Lena Headey is a brilliant actress, and I think she's going to be able to pull that off beautifully.
Maester Payne?
What am I looking forward to this season? Tower of Joy, for sure. Anything to do with Tower of Joy.
Tony?
The North. I like the whole battle, the Battle of Ice. I hope anything like that.
Great point. It looks fucking awesome. Huge. It looks like they put a lot of fucking money towards it too. Mama?
Tony's a liar. He wants Stannis resurrected. We know that's what he wants.
Stannis didn't die.
Oh.
He's not dead yet. Not in the book.
What I
All right.
What I want to see.
Yeah.
I want to see have their romantic moment. That's what I want.
Who?
The Unkiss?
You cut out, Mama. You want to see who?
I'll say it again. Tower of Joy everybody wants. I want to see Sandor and Sansa reunite in a romantic moment. We've been waiting for it for 4.5. He's her only friend. Let's do this thing.
You got another season to wait, in my opinion, but I want to see it too. S. Moore asks, do you guys think winter will finally reach King's Landing? I think yes, at the end of the season, definitely. What do y'all think? Mama?
I think we've answered that.
We did it already.
Oh, we did already. Sorry. I don't see, there's a whole bunch of other questions, but I think we've asked a bunch of the ones I'm seeing. All right. Let's call it. Anybody else want to add anything? Oh, let me add a couple things. Number one, Teebaby, we missed you. I'm sorry you're sick. I hope you feel better. We love you. And Sweet YFT, thank you. You were the one who helped us out with those pictures at the beginning. The first couple ones we showed, and I really appreciate that. Thank you. You're helping out through Charlie and Westeros. Charlie, I'm sorry you're not here right now. I miss you. It's been 5 minutes. Anybody else want to add anything?
Yes, guys, I want to thank Sweet YFT also, and I love you. And please, anybody in the comments, if you don't know, I also do Clash of Queens, so it's Sweet YFT, it's Teebaby, it's Tinka Yasso, and me doing answering questions. So go to Sweet YFT's channel and find us. We're doing it in 2 weeks, and I'm not sure. I've been doing a lot of these things lately, so I got lost. Or you can find it on my Twitter account, Tina Foyle. So I think it's House Foyle, something like that. And it's 5 a.m.
Where's your Foyle?
Guys, it's 5 a.m. here in Padua.
There's Trooper.
Can I just say one thing, since I'm the oldest here and I'm the crone? I want to say that, and for all you people out there listening to us, God bless you, but I have never had a better literary experience than investigating this series with this wonderful group of people, and I really, really, really mean it. It will never happen again. Not. So thank you all so much into my life, and I really do care about you guys. Thank you.
Truly.
I'm going to add to that. It's the only literary experience I've ever had in my life. Or one that I deemed memorable anyways.
Well, it was a good one, MP.
I've been having this experience for how many years now? 11, 12 years.
I got you beat.
Oh my god. For 12 years I've been talking about this shit. Come on, Martin, finish it so I can go on.
All right.
Somebody help him.
Y'all are wonderful. Thank y'all so much for being here.
I love you.
To Tony,
Love you, Tony. Love you,
Maester
James.
Payne, Florida, my mama. You're the best.
Greats.
All right, until we get a new fucking season in less than a month. Y'all ready to come back here and talk about the shit we've seen?
Yeah.
The shit I've seen.
No leaked episodes. Please, no leaked episodes. Let us.
They're not giving them out to the press, so it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. They showed the first, 10 minutes or something like that. All right. Love y'all.
Hand pistols. Ciao. Ciao.
Bye.
See you soon.
Bye.